All right, yes, welcome back, gentlemen. Welcome back. Oh, snap.
What
All right,
happened?
so I can't even see the live button. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead like it is live. I can't see it on my end.
It's live on my end.
Okay. Yes,
We
yes,
got we
welcome
gotta
back.
stop at the start of the live like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, y'all want to start over?
Yeah,
Not
might
just.
as well. We got to do a whole new link or no?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, never mind.
All right, welcome to Vocal Soapbox, where we harness, the power of logic and use analytical tools to extrapolate ideas to get a deeper understanding of the world that's around us. I got two of my brothers with me. I am your host, Enos. Below me is Freshly Snipes. What
You're
what you got for the people,
Hey,
man?
there's no below. We're all equals here, man.
listen,
As
man.
a
It's Snipes. You already know me, man. I'm here to get my shots up, man.
okay, as above, so below. Oh no, I'm just playing.
Okay.
and,
Hello.
and to my left, Vulcan, what you got for the people?
What's going on, everybody? I'm the Vulcan, aka Logos. Excited to get to another show, doing a reaction video to pretty popular characters within the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. Hope you enjoy the content. Feel free to like and share and subscribe. Also, send your questions. Feel free to tune into the show. Also, if you want to join the show, let us know. We're excited to do this. We do this because we know it needs to be done. Let's get it.
All right, all right. So listen, yeah, topics. Some of the topics today we're going to be addressing. What is a healthy skeptic? What's a conspiracy theorist? And how do you determine good argumentations versus bad argumentations? So, again, I'm Enos. I'm here to serve y'all with humility and dedication. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right to it, y'all. All right, stop screen. Oh, here we go. Go ahead, mute your background, fresh, while the
I'm
video is playing.
I'm y'all be to share, you'll be to share the link I'd have right here fresh in a little bit. I'm still finishing creating it, but it's almost done. Just adding the YouTube link to it as well.
Mm, all righty.
Can be our clock to tell us where we come from, what time it is, and where we need to go. History can be a compass for us to let us know what we have to do and what we haven't done, so that we have to make sure that we don't build our narrative of socialization, how we get our values, and acculturation, how we fit into society, based upon the lies of European superiority and African inferiority. But we have to understand that we have suffered through a process of dehumanization, but our resilience and our strength has allowed us to rise. And we can say, as Maya Angelou said, and still I rise. And African symbols of rebirth and resurrection, even after death and destruction, show that the Africans built into their culture a consciousness that out of death and destruction can come new life. And this is what destruction.
Oh man, I forgot. Hold on.
This game,
Yeah, I'm gonna fix this.
you're not ready for it.
I gotta
Brother
fix
Lord
that.
Jamal talking about Black lives, Black dollars, and the Black community. Why is it so important? What do we need to do? Where we need to go from now? We have two very extraordinary brothers, very the same background, the same school of thought in terms of just knowledge itself, having knowledge itself at a very young age, and how important that is to the overall Black community and what we need to do to grow. We talk about, oftentimes, we talk about what are the solutions to our community, and one of the solutions we look at most, I guess, overlook a lot of times or don't execute the way we should be or should be doing is cooperative economics and the importance of it. To understand cooperative economics and how it works, it's real simple. People need to avidly find at least one Black business a day to do business with. If you can't, there's people online, share their stuff, like their stuff. It goes a long way. And with that said, please, like, share, subscribe this video. Those on YouTube, hit the notification button. We need this information to get out there. Those who were kind of on the sidelines, haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Happy Talks is a tremendous platform. We're trying to keep it going. And it's connected also to the other aspects of the happy movement. This is just one piece of it. With the Happy Movement, we got the Happy Newsletter and also the Happy Film. For those who haven't seen the Happy Film, I strongly recommend that you do it. You will not be disappointed. Shout out to Tahuti Films, the production company involved, and just tying that into cooperative economics. Every time you support the Happy Movement, the Happy Film, any aspect of it, it's just doing more to improve the Black community, because everything that we do is in support of other Black people. From the film production side to the shirts, the marketing, the influence we work with, everything is a continuous execution of Black economics and cooperative economics. So we really wanted to bring in these two brothers tonight to really address a lot of the issues going on right now, I guess in a contemporary way, as you could say, what's happening in our community and the things that we can do now in terms of the future leadership of the Black community,
So
and how we need to address these problems.
Of what
And as I previously stated, cooperative economics is probably the number one method in doing that. So without any further ado, we're going to
All right, we're good now, fellas. All right, we're good now. Had to get that taken care of. Hold on from
6 hours and bouncing out of the community. Like, we got to stop that. You know what I mean? We got to do a better job at figuring out ways how to support one another in a more holistic and organic way, because, you know, it's just not working for us. And we need to really take ownership overall of what we're doing. We got to tell our own stories, tell our history, teach our children, and again, support each other in a very, you know, fundamental way. So without really getting into a whole lot, we just kind of go around the room real quick and kind of tell us a little bit about yourselves. We start with you, Rizza.
Yes, so well, first off, brother, I'm honored to be on here, man. I know we met over at the Foundation of Black American Conference in Atlanta, and man, you walked up and said, "Look, brother, I have some beautiful work that I'm doing. You know, I want you to be a part of it." And you already know, man, when it's, you know, our people, when it comes to our people and doing something for us, I'm all with it. So I said, brother, you let me know, get my assist, and let's make it happen. So again, I'm just honored to be here with our brother Lord Jamar, you know, the legend himself. So I'll just say, you know, brother Rizza Islam, youngest of 10 children, born and raised in Compton, California, born in the Nation of Islam. I was born with the last name Islam. So you can see how funny that would be, being in Compton, your last name is Islam. And just doing my best to help the people. I've been doing independent research since I was about 11 years old. I've been working in the community heavily, and particularly in the areas of drug rehabilitation, parenting, literacy programs, and then from there, human rights education, the international drug circumstances, and, you know, foreign policy and things of that nature, and a whole lot of other things when it comes to gang truces and interreligious faith united fronts coming together when it comes to different religious groups, et cetera, et cetera. All of that since about the age of 15. So I've been in the community working heavily for about the last 21 years. And
we can skip these intros, right?
I'll do my best to be a brother, a servant of the people,
of people that you acquired in this film.
Come on.
Yeah, I've been striving to, you know, wanted to this Grand Poobah. My commentary on Vlad TV this evening. And yeah, so basically what we're doing right now is, you know, we ourselves up. We just passed 100.
By us, and like you said, was done with an all-Black crew, and we wanted to really emphasize that and the importance of that. It's really important that we also give you brothers a shout out. You're doing some great works, and continuing. Time right now, it's unprecedented times. You know, we're dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. You know, there's some questions about what's really happening, and I just want to kind of get into that. You know, kind of start this off and basically kind of take it from where we are right now.
That's a lot of.
And obviously there's some concerns about vaccinations with some of the families. So Rizza, we'll start with you. In your opinion, is this a pandemic or a pandemic?
Well, I think you know by now, brother, that Brother Rizza Islam doesn't go off of opinion. I think this might be the first time in a while that I can say an opinion, but I would honestly say, opinion-wise, just looking at what the government does, and the same government that helped to establish the AIDS virus, the Ebola virus, all of these different so-called
What
flus,
speed are we at?
manipulated things that they do.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you can't hear me when I'm talking through the video?
Yeah, I can hear. I couldn't make out what you're saying. It's good.
Okay, yeah. So I think Freshly was saying he can't hear the video at all. Is that still true, Freshly?
You muted, Fresh.
But yeah, I was saying, like, what speed are we listening to it on?
Okay.
You don't happen to know?
Yeah, I'm checking it right now. It's normal. Let's speed up and do one.
Yeah, we can speed this up.
125. Let's try that.
The likelihood, I would say, is absolutely that it was planned. You know, that's on the opinion side. On the factual side, however, it is a creation in part by the Wuhan labs in Wuhan, China, and 2 laboratories here in America, as confessed by Dr. Judy Mikovits, who worked under Dr. Fauci with regards to the Ebola virus. And she admitted that these 3 locations are to blame, or are in part, or collaborating with when it comes to this virus. So 2 laboratories in America, 1 in Wuhan, China. And, you know, nothing happens without the permissive will of Allah. So, you know, it is, I would say, in those 4 parts, 3 laboratories, and then God is allowing it to happen. The problem is now America thought it was going to just hit China as they wanted it to, and other parts of the world as they wanted it to, but now it's backfiring horribly, and it's hitting America at full speed.
Wow. So just in terms of, you know, trying to come out of it and the vaccination, I know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke about the vaccinations, and what are your thoughts on that in terms of just what we need to do as a community to protect ourselves?
The option now as a community is, at first you could just say it's against your religious belief. That would be the religious exemption form. You go and let them know, you know, it's against me and my family's belief, etc. We take that little piece of paper, sign it, give it to the doctor, boom. You know, your child, you don't have to get any vaccines. You can go to work, go to school, and everything is fine. Now it's gotten to the point to where they labeled it as a pandemic, which means it reaches the federal level of the government, and that cancels out the state government's exemption forms to a degree. And because of that, now what they're saying is that these exemption forms will not work, which is the religious exemption form, the philosophical exemption form, or the medical exemption form. And these are the different ways that you can tell your doctor or nurse that you do not want to take these vaccines, or you don't want your child to get these vaccines. These are 3 different avenues, but they're trying to come after those. So the last option that we have is we're going to have to conscientiously object to these. You're going to have to stand your ground and say, this is my body, this is my child's body. We are children of the Son, children of God, etc. We don't belong to the government. You know, our bodies are our own property, you know, under God's authority. So you're going to have to embrace that and have to declare that. It's going to happen by the tens of millions. I would say
enough of us have to do that. Though.
Enough of us got to do
isolated cases.
Right.
Exactly.
We all have to do it for it to really work. And that's the solidarity that we have to stand together in that. Exactly. It can't be all shucking and driving. Well, I got to do it because, you know, I got to go to work and all this type of shit. Listen, like, nah, this is big. Like, this is way bigger than your little job. Find another line of work. I don't know what to tell you. But
and on that point, on Lord Jamar's point, to validate what he's saying, you won't even, if you're thinking clearly here, it's not even about maybe my job is no, you're dealing with a concoction of chemicals that are supposed to take 10 years to be determined to be safe, and they're rushing it through in less than 12 months. So you're playing with your life here. You're an experiment. Tuskegee was less than 500 people. America's 328 million people with an estimated 50 million black people. And you're talking about experimentation on a level that they have never seen before, ever. So you're playing with your life now. It's not about your job, like Brother Lord Jamar said. It ain't about your little gig, whatever you got. No, you're playing with something that is absolutely verified and admitted by this government that is not safe in any way, shape, or form. That's what we're dealing with.
And please understand, some of the people that's making these vaccines are not even vaccine makers. They're technology companies. Now, understand that they want to put more than just vaccines inside you. They want to deal with nanotechnology. They want to put tiny microscopic robots in your body. Now, this can sound like some conspiracy shit, but go look it up. It's real shit. Okay, nanotechnology. Now they want to go into your body, fuck with your DNA.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the vaccine topic. I'm not as super interested in this topic, so I wouldn't mind skipping some of this stuff. But while we're talking about it, you know, the point that he makes about some of the companies making the vaccines aren't vaccine companies. That's not super relevant. You know, companies transition all the time. You know, they bring in consultants. They can change their manufacturing see this in war times. Companies that manufacture one thing will start to manufacture another in case of war. I mean, it's not, too difficult to do. I'm not saying that shouldn't raise a little bit of concern, because you're going to want to know their expertise when it comes to that. But it's not like, just because they're not vaccinated, companies that don't make vaccines, I mean, they can't start doing that. Especially if they got billions and billions of dollars to be able to buy plants and manufacturing facilities to be able to get that kind of stuff off the ground.
Yeah, there's often companies who will seize, who are opportunists, who will seize opportunities like a global pandemic to create or get into another revenue stream.
Absolutely.
If they see it. So, we got a global pandemic. We need a vaccine. So you're right. Maybe I'm a multi-billion-dollar tech company, and I see an opportunity to essentially make some quick cash. I got the capital.
Not only that,
the laboratory.
What I thought about too is just like bigger companies buy smaller companies that do certain things. Amazon's a great example of that.
Listen, I work for a company right now that does that. They just acquire smaller companies who do different things, and they add that to their portfolio.
Yeah. So if you're a well-known company like Johnson & Johnson, or I'm not saying this is exactly the case with Johnson & Johnson, or you say you're Amazon and you buy a medical company, now it's going to say Amazon on it, right? But somebody might be like, Amazon ain't no this company. Nah. It's like they are now. They bought.
That's the thing, because you're going to look at those companies and you're going to see. If you're looking for if you're looking at companies, 9 times out of 10, you don't even know who the mother company is. Who the
exactly.
Company is. Most of the companies, most of the even quote unquote major companies that we know are owned by larger companies who that's their business. Like, I don't do anything but acquire companies. That's our gig.
Yes, because it's easier to do that at times instead of building.
Yeah,
people rather just buy it because it's easier.
So last little piece I want to say about this is, and the reason why I'm bringing this point that might even look like it's nitpicking to some extent, is because when people hear that, the imagery that we conjure up in our mind will be like, say I own a coal mining business, right? And I got coal miners working there, right? And then all of a sudden I want to start, making baby powder. So I'm telling these coal miners, hey, look, from now on, hey, y'all, take your coal miner gear off, get in this lab, put this lab coat on, you're going to start making, pills now.
That's not how it works.
Ruga Salt Daddy did it, and Will Chocolate Factory. They stopped cracking nuts and got to unwrapping chocolate. All right.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that company's gonna keep the coal miners doing coal mine stuff, and they're gonna bring in people to do the other stuff.
The point is that just because that type of that fact, or even if it is a fact, that little factoid, that doesn't automatically make it. Doesn't solely make it a red flag. Like Vulcan said, it may warrant a deeper look, but it borders on conspiracy when you take that sole fact and create an entire conspiracy off of it without considering several other factors that are possible, like common business practices in America.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we can get back to it. If there's something else. I don't want to stay on this vax stuff too long, but we'll see how this goes.
Man, this stuff is important to the people, man. Give your opinion. They want to hear it.
Yeah, you're right.
DNA, or maybe if you act crazy, they can just go up into your brain somewhere and snip some shit off, and you look like you had an aneurysm or some shit, or send them bots over to your heart. You look like you had a heart attack, and they're now assassinating people at will with these little fucking micro robots, and they're able to track you with this shit everywhere you go, type of shit. Like make no mistake about it. This is much bigger than just them trying to put some vaccine in you. And please understand that the people that never cared about your safety, they don't care about your safety now. Like if they cared about your safety, they would have banned cigarettes and all these other things that kill people, but they don't do that. They've been knowing that Johnson's baby powder was cancerous, and they know that for years. Okay, that's why they're able to sue now. There's plenty of things that they know, plastic leaches, all kind of nonsense into the foods and aluminum foil. Man, there's so many different things. They don't care. So now don't act like they care about.
Can we pause it real quick?
With masks,
can we pause it right quick?
Social distancing and all the vaccine.
See, this is my issue when people speak like this, right? It takes a lot of the onus on us, Because when we say they, right, this is nebulous group of people out here that are dictating all the things that we have to do on a daily basis and that we're exposed to. But really, those days are us. You know, it's people out of the population who are doing these things. You know, we all have a right to do referendums and initiatives. We have a right to be involved with politics as we so please, special interest groups, lobbyist groups. I'm not saying that it'll be easy because the big companies have special interest groups and lobbyist groups that are very powerful. You know, but the reality is that they is people that live next door to you. Your kids go to school with your kids, you know, depending upon your bracket income, you know what I'm saying? But so my point is just saying, you know, when they say this they, it's almost like it's an alien force out there, but the they is us. And if we were more involved with things like that, you know, when it comes to voting on local elections and things of that nature, we could have more of an impact on the laws that, as far as plastic, you mentioned leaching in plastic. Corporations are going to try to sell stuff and mass produce things as cheap as possible. Plastic is cheap, right? And the thing is, so somebody will, you know, so it's not like the day, is it the government or is it the corporation? Somebody might go, well, they're married, you know, they're in bed together. Okay, well, but the government is composed of people who go from one side of the aisle to the other side of the aisle. That could be you, it could be me, if we decided to be involved in those kind of things. But if you ever ran a business, you're always going to have the battle, the chasm, if you will, between maximizing profit and do what's in the best interest of the earth and or people overall health wise. You know, so that's a constant battle we all have to face. It's not necessarily some conspiracy again.
It could be a conspiracy, but just as easily it could not be. The point of the matter is, just because it's suspicious, doesn't mean that you automatically go to conspiracy. It might just be, you know, like I put it like this: they talk about Tuskegee. This could easily be a money grab versus a racism like population culling grab. It's just so many other factors that could be involved in it. While we want to talk about conspiracy, we might be looking in the wrong direction to defend ourselves against certain things because we're so eager to be the victims.
Yeah.
Like, this is all a game, people. The mask is the precursor to the mark. Okay, the MASK of the beast is the precursor to the MARK of the beast. Okay, first they want you to wear the mask, then they're gonna have you wear the mark. Watch it.
Peace.
And I have to, brother Taiki, I just gotta, if I may, just to back my brother's point up. It doesn't need to be backed up, but let me just add on to verify for those who like to, you know, argue and say, oh, that's just conjecture. In Sweden right now, almost the entire area of Sweden is ran on the technological side of the RFID chip, the radio frequency identification chip that is administered through a needle injection. In this chip, they have all your information, your credit information, your banking information. It is a tracking device, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the same thing that they have moved over here to the Western, you know, area or the United States. They have certain companies that have had chipping parties in America where they were all celebrating the fact that they were all getting chipped. A chip that's being put right here in their hand, and that way they're able to access getting into their jobs. They're able to turn on the copy machine, get into the doors, et cetera, et cetera. These are very real things, and it's being administered through the same way, which is through an injection. So it's not just a vaccine, as brother said. This is verifiable fact. It's not some conjecture. Ain't no nonsense. This is real. So let's make it very clear to understand that it's far deeper, more diabolical than simply injecting chemicals to depopulate, which is the ultimate agenda, from chemicals that have not been verified at all to be safe, from a government that can be trusted, from 7 different vaccine manufacturers that all have been under lawsuits, including Johnson & Johnson for the baby powder, as Brother Lord Jamar just said, and they've been losing
losing let
lawsuits.
them make it, right?
See? So it's kind of like, so none of this is conjecture. This is all actual facts. I want to just, you know, back up my brother on that statement for anybody who tried to come at us.
No, we definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. You mentioned a word a second ago, Rizza. You said
Can you pause it real quick?
That kind of takes us to the question. What is the number one threat facing white supremacy? Like,
yeah, now we're going to get into the white supremacy stuff, so that's going to be good. But yeah, so what he says right here, they're going to let them make it, Lord Jamar said, they're going to let them make it, Johnson & Johnson. This is going to go to the white supremacy point as well, but like, you got to think, you know, and somebody in my family, we suspect, you know, passed away with ovarian cancer due to the baby powder incident, the talcum powder thing. So this hits close to home. But even in light of that, I'm saying that, you know, people got to realize, we're talking about Johnson & Johnson. That's a company comprised of a lot of different people the CEO, the chief positions there, the workers may not even be there that was a part of that process. It's just really just a name. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, people that were working at that place 20 years ago may not be working there now. So we're going to let them make the vaccine? Well, what do you mean the name? You don't have no idea what the same people that are working there was working with them with the talcum powder situation. Typically, when things like that happen, people get fired.
Even if they don't, they improve.
Yeah, or they improve. Yeah. I'm just saying we don't even know because it's going to come back up with the white supremacy thing. Like the people that we're talking about white supremacy with, and the days, all the conspiracy days we're going to hear, it's not even the same folks that did the stuff that we're going to accuse them of. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, but again, this is the big bag monster that can't be beat. It has to. This is giving a characterization of which is a common thread that we see with these types of guys. They have to put a face on what they're talking about. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Otherwise, it doesn't have a good grasp and foot in reality. Excuse me. So a lot of these, of course, you have to put it on Johnson and Johnson because Johnson and Johnson is essentially an untouchable entity. Like, what are you going to do with Johnson and Johnson? They're involved in so many things, and the problem is you say these types of things as if, again, these are not normal business practices. Johnson and Johnson is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. They're probably involved in stuff you have no clue that they're involved in because the point of business at the end of the day is to make as much money as you can, as many possible streams of money as you can. So that's like having a matriarch or a patriarch in the family, and they marry off and get different names. Y'all still part of the same family, but what y'all do don't necessarily impact us or reflect poorly on us. You don't even know we're part of that.
Yeah.
How we, what is their biggest fear?
Hold on.
Lord Jamar, for me, who
he asked you first. He asked you.
Oh, okay. So let's see. I believe it was Jago Hufu said Negro.
I just want to make sure when restarting the video on like mid sentence, we should probably go back to where the like right. He just asked the question, right? If we pause it, we probably should just go back to when he asked the question. If it's not going to destroy the stream too much.
Negro unity.
What is their biggest fear? Question. What is the number one threat facing white supremacy? Like how we, what is their biggest fear?
Is that for Lord Jamar? For me, who
he asked you first. He asked you.
Oh, okay. So let's see. I believe it was Jago Hufu said Negro unity. And it didn't change too much from then. The difference now is not only is it the unity of us as a people, it is the total revolt and resurrection of us as a people, because we're starting to wake up in large numbers. It's 2020. It's perfect vision. So us uniting and separating from them is their biggest fear because they are going extinct. So genetic annihilation is a part of that equation. All right. So they have to depopulate.
Hold on, man. This is, again, Volks out there. We call the Volks, the Vulcans, people who appreciate critical thinking and logic and reason and being consistent in our beliefs and our philosophies about life. We got to hear what this guy just finished saying. He said the number one threat to white supremacy. We haven't defined that yet in the video, but maybe we will. Not that we all don't have our definitions of the term, but he says that first he talks about us waking up or starting to wake up now, but then he mentions us separating ourselves from them. That's that Nation of Islam doctrine sneaking its ugly head into the conversation. What does it mean separating ourselves from them? You mean getting our own land, getting our own military, getting our own resources? Black people are heavily employed by the government.
Mm-hmm.
The money we would use to try to separate, quote unquote, comes from the government itself. And if we separate, who's going to protect us from foreign and domestic disputes and issues?
That's the problem that I have with that sort of doctrine. Is that one, it would never. I challenge anyone who feels like that. Tell me how that would work. Like out to the end, are we somehow buying a piece of America from the government? Like what? Where are we doing this thing on our own? Where are we getting away from separating ourselves? Even if, and like you said, even if we do, let's just say the government says, yeah, if y'all come up with enough money, y'all can have Atlanta. All right, so we're gonna have Atlanta. All black people gonna move to Atlanta. Are we now gonna succeed from the United States? Right? If I'm the government and I'm mad, let's just say somehow we pull this off, and I'm the government and I don't want this to happen. They got their own militia. For one, it's not even an army. But guess what? I'm gonna say China. If y'all want to come over here and backhand Atlanta, they're not with us. So do your worst. That's too easy. I don't understand the end goal of this type of rhetoric because I don't believe that it's ever going to come to fruition. I think it's just that. It's just rhetoric. But I don't understand the logic behind these types of plans. When people say this type of stuff, they never can take me all the way to the end of this thought process or this thought exercise. Like, what do you mean separate? How in reality, right, using logic and reason, do you feel like we're going to accomplish that in the United States of America without?
Well, I mean, like, so to you, when you're saying that though, what's the, you know, and I know both of them are big issue. What's the bigger point to you, whether it could actually be accomplished or once it was accomplished, how would it be sustained?
Well, to be honest with you, the sustaining portion of it goes hand in hand with can it be accomplished.
Yeah, I'm just curious for you, which one you think is more which one's a bigger deal? Can it actually being accomplished, or once it's accomplished, it actually proven to be a good idea and be sustainable?
Oh,
if you had to pick out of the two, from Enos and Fresh,
sustainability. For me, it's always going to be sustainability because I don't see the point in doing anything that you can't sustain.
Enos, what about for you?
I'm gonna say sustain. One, because military. If you're gonna do things like that, or one, hold on, it seems like I'm lagging. But yeah, the only way to protect or defend a land, if you want to break off from America, I can't remember what he said in the video. You need a strong military to defend those things. So,
and that's just from
that was one of the reasons. That was one of the reasons why.
That's just foreign attackers. That's not even including quote unquote domestic, right? That's not including. Let's just say we get Atlanta. That's not including Alabama feeling some way about us separating, or and coming in. We're not talking about what would initially have been civil war, but now because we doing our own thing and we want our own stuff, it's not even considered that.
Yeah, So sorry, go ahead, Fresh. You were still talking. You were saying something.
I'm just saying. My point is, and this is not me going against the idea or being for the idea. I just challenge anybody who's saying that. If you don't feel it's just rhetoric, which is what I think it is, I would challenge somebody to give me a valid thought exercise that would take me to the end or the success of this plan, outside of just making us feel good. Yeah, we should do our own thing. We don't need them. Where would this happen at? And then my last thing I'm gonna say is, for those people, once you give me that thought exercise, or if you're not able to give me that thought exercise, now I want to know why you would be offended when somebody would tell you something like, go back to Africa. If you don't want to be here, if you don't want to be here, but if you don't want to integrate, right? If you don't want to make things work with the what I call the indigenous with white people. Yeah, if you don't want to make it work with white people, then for someone to tell you go back to Africa, that should actually be your goal, because otherwise, how are you going to do your own black-centric, black-only thing inside the continental USA? I just don't understand.
I just want to say this. Then it takes years to build infrastructures. I'm not going to say years, centuries.
Yeah.
So now, how's that? It's going to be hard to sustain that.
Well,
you see what's going on with Dr. Umar? How long it's taking just to build one school? These guys are talking about building a nation.
What about those? What about people that would say that because y'all are saying that, y'all are just too cowardly, or don't have the y'all are already beaten down beyond hope now, so y'all have lost the belief that y'all can actually accomplish it, which is what the power structure wants y'all to think.
To that, I would respond. I didn't say yay or nay. I said show me. So when you're talking about somebody who's presenting an idea,
Whether like you walk by faith, whether say you got this on this right here, you're not going to be able to see this one because it is a difficult uphill battle. So you're not going to be able to see. You're going to have to walk by faith on this one.
right. So when you talk about an uphill battle, I'm not against the battle. I'm against not having a plan that works. If you tell me we get to the top of this mountain, this is how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be hard, but we could do it. Cool. All right. What's the direction we're gonna take? What gear do we need? What time of the give me these things, and I'm there for the fight with you. But if it's just an idea, if it's just something that you would want to do, but you don't have a real plan, you're telling me let's climb this mountain. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't really have a plan. I'm not even sure it could be done because that's the real. Even if they told me that, I would respect that honesty. I don't know if it could be done. It just should be done. Then
Yeah.
I would say, when you come up with a plan, when you get a plan that will likely work, holla at me.
Yeah, this is basic science. Anytime you build, the architects do this. They count the costs. So brick by brick has to be estimated. So if you're talking about building nations or coming up with these ideas, you have to um, go through the process and really explain how this is going to work and what's the end goal and how this is going to look at it after going through all of this.
Yep.
So I want to say this before what Rizza said. This actually, don't quote me on this. I believe this already been debunked when he said J. Edgar Hoover said the greatest threat to the United States is black unity. That's not true. Like I said, I haven't looked at this in a while. He actually said the reason he said that because there was a lot of these activists back in those days, Black Panthers and et cetera. They was taking on the doctrine, or they was meaning they was communism. They was communists. They was actually promoting communism, and that was a threat to capitalism. So that's what he said. The guys that was actually promoting communism, those folks was actually the greatest threat to a capitalist society. So, but go ahead, folks.
Yeah. So last piece I was going to say on this topic was just for us to establish this separation, we would have to be able to do what white folks couldn't do during the Civil War. The South couldn't even accomplish that. These were people that were their brothers and looked just like them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't get a separate system going. They couldn't separate. It was going to be United States or death.
So and that's the thing. When you talk about secession, it ain't like it's a novel idea. States don't do it even though they want to because it's a bad idea. It doesn't work. Now, for whatever, if you have a problem with white people and you don't trust them and whatever the case may be, that's fine. But if you're talking about an idea that white people already tried and didn't work, there's a bunch of dumb white people out there for certain. But not all of them are dumb. You're not going to tell me that secession is something that can be done with relative ease just because we want to do it because of unity. Because there's been opportunities, there's been desire to do that for decades in this country, and while I don't have the facts on hand on the why, I do know it hasn't been done for a good reason.
I say this so we can move on. It's some examples we can look to. We can look at the Indian reservations, and we can just look at how they live and see, that's something. Because that's if we go in that direction, that's the possible outcome. Some of these Indian reservations. So for those who haven't been to Indian reservations, just do some research and ask yourself that's a strong possibility that if we go this direction, that's how the communities will look.
Yeah, you have to get all these competing ideas within the black community, from the gangs to the blocks to the different existential, black existential beliefs that are going on, from Nation of Islam to Mormonism to Institute of Divine Medical Research, all the different spiritual groups, the atheistic ones, the militant ones, the liberal, the conservative, get all of them on the same page to be able to work in unison and in their own spot, like you said, through secession. It's just completely unrealistic. Mm-hmm. Sorry, but go ahead.
And based on, hold on, one more thing. Based on the fact that it is completely unrealistic, I would now
be fast, Fresh. It better be fast.
I would question why y'all keep pushing it.
Okay.
Well, anybody keeps pushing it,
I would it for religious reasons. Well, I would say Rizza pushes it for religious reasons. That's a part of their doctrine.
Yeah. Right, but again, we're talking about realism. We're talking about reality, reason, and logic. If you're pushing it for religious reasons, there still should be a plan on how to accomplish it. Where's that plan? How are you going to do it?
And kill 3 to 4 billion people, as what they have stated, on the earth, starting with those in the countries of Africa, or all over Africa, and then of course black and brown original people across the earth. So it's those two parts, our unity, but also their genetic annihilation. And that's their biggest fear, is that the planet will be given back to the original mothers and fathers of it.
So I want to kind of get into the genetic annihilation in terms of,
because that's what I would say is the main.
Right. Mm-hmm. So because we kind of just touched on it kind of briefly. You just kind of elaborate on their fear of genetics, their fear of them being annihilated just on the fact that they're not just reproducing.
6,000 years they were given to rule. Oh, you're talking about Lord Jamar or me?
No, we're still with you.
Okay, yes, sir. 6,000 years they were given a time to rule. In the Bible, it says 6 days, etc. It goes into a high level of mathematics. But the point is, 6,000 years the Caucasian was given to rule. His time was extended. This is now the extension period. But what they have determined, and they've looked at this, their demographers, they have stated about the year 2042, according to the United States Census, that America will be a majority brown country by 2042. In 2017 or 2018, CNN published something called the Vanishing White American, where they determined that an estimated 50% of America, half of the states in America, saw more deaths than births when it comes to Caucasian people, that these Caucasian women's wombs are not able to hold a baby all the way through term of 9.5 months. And while that is happening simultaneously, black folks and brown folks, we still popping out babies like hotcakes, like popcorn. We are procreating out of.
So, as far as the population part, that stuff is accurate from my understanding. Europe's dealing with a similar population issue. A lot of the predominantly white places are dealing with the place where they're not able to replace their own population. Okay, but this is what I want the folks out there, the audience, to really think about this. Just because somebody says something true about one particular thing doesn't mean that the conclusion they draw from that particular fact is accurate as well. So what this will be called in logical terms will be like your premises. These are the facts that support whatever conclusion you want to draw. And if the premises are true, then you logically would deduct from there to a conclusion that's valid. It follows what you're talking about. Now, the issue with what he's talking about, just because it's vanishing populations for the whites and stuff like that, which is true, they're not having the same amount of babies. It doesn't mean that the biggest fear that they have is a brown America and things of that nature. We got to make a separation between the average white guy you work with at your job, who's not thinking about any of that stuff at all. Are you thinking about like somebody in the government system? And he's talking about who's in control of all this stuff that's that concerned with, white annihilation. And then again, you got to hear Rizza. And this is the thing, a lot of us don't really know much about a Nation of Islam teachings. And because we don't know much about Islamic teachings, the Nation of Islam teaching, the Fruit of Islam teaching, when we hear him speaking, come out, white man gets 6,000 years to rule, all that different kind of stuff. We don't know enough about their teachings and their beliefs, their religious beliefs. Sorry, not their teaching, but their religious beliefs that undergird their teachings to know that he's speaking from that point. And so it's a different religion that he's pushing right now. Wait, and the last thing sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying he incorporated Christianity. He said it was Christianity.
Yeah. So
he said the Bible. I'm sorry. He said the Bible says it.
So the last thing I want to say about the point, so I want to give y'all a chance to speak on this, is that when he says the earth will be, the earth will be given back to the original people, right? I got to make a distinction here because, of course, in their doctrine, white people were developed in some kind of laboratory or something like that, right? So on that end, he's being consistent for the most part. But in modern science, all of us come from the same Adam and Eve. what they call the mitochondria Eve, or there's different terms you'll hear it called within the science realm. But all our DNA traces back to original people, the original people. So that means white, Hispanic, Asian, all that stuff goes back to, modern science say an African person, probably a black person, originally. So if you're not taking their Nation of Islam approach to genetics, which is completely unfounded, we're sticking with modern science. A white person is descendant of black people, just like everybody else is. So how would it go back to the original people when you're a descendant of the original people? That's my question for the audience to think about. And also my question for Rizza and, I'm not going to say the word Jamar because I don't think he's Nation of Islam. Y'all got anything on that, or what's your thoughts?
I want to say this: when just keep in mind when you listen to people, keep in mind when people are telling what's a theory versus what's actual facts. So the genetic annihilation, that's actually a theory. What they're saying they're saying that as if this is facts. So you got one theory, you got the genetic annihilations, and then you got another theory that is actually benefits that other ethnicities actually mingle to each other, because in the future it could probably prevent certain diseases.
Yeah, it's like genetic diversity.
Yeah, diversity.
That's why two people, it's not recommended for people that are siblings or to mate, to reproduce, because you tend to have the same issues with your genetic line. So it's gonna show up dominant in your children, perhaps, which is why your kids may not be able to survive as well in the world. So the more genetic variation you have in a population, the stronger the gene pool is going to be, because the weaknesses in those genetics aren't going to be as pronounced if they're not, reproducing together.
Yeah, so it increase their resilience. It increase the resilience and to the disease,
right.
and definitely environment changes. So what I'm doing here, I'm just exploring other possibilities, because both of these are theories, but they are saying the other theory as if this is true.
Well, this one is not theory. This is well known within science right here. I mean, you're seeing it right now with the shrinking populations within animals, like certain tiger populations have really shrunk. And so as they're trying to help these tigers repopulate, or animals that are endangered, when their population gets so small, genetic deficiencies get more pronounced because they're mating with each other, but they all have the similar genetic problems. So even if you try to get tigers to reproduce, sorry, go ahead, Freshly.
They're just putting to put it into layman terms, they're putting bad genetics on top of bad genetics. There's no variation. There's nothing to thin it out.
Absolutely right. So even with
and remember, that's another point. That's another point to promote racial segregation too. So that's another point.
You mean racial integration?
No, genetic annihilation. That's another way to promote racial segregation. If you believe genetic annihilation.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying the point we're making right now is a good way to promote racial integration, because of but I see what you're saying. You're saying the same thing, but just the converse of it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Why did it go? Oh, what's going on?
So yeah, I'll keep talking until it starts working again. So so the thing about Rizza Islam and their beliefs, and I really want people to start tapping this when it comes to Minister Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Rizza Islam. A lot of us will be shocked to find out these guys' religious beliefs. They're not Muslims and they're not Christians. I'm not saying because they're not Muslims and they're not Christians, it means what they believe is not right. It just means y'all will be shocked to find out their beliefs and aliens coming back to get us, and all, white people be made in the laboratory. They have a lot of beliefs that are really out there, and they don't say it because then you would recognize their foundation isn't as reliable as it seems, even though these guys are very well dressed, very articulate individuals.
Yeah, not to spend too much time on it, just for the audience to know what VULCAN is referring to. It was I'm not sure of the source. I don't know if it's the Message of the Black Man. I can't remember the source. You can do your own research, but the theory that they actually promoted in religion, that Yaqub was a mad black science man. They call the big head guy, and he actually created a white race in a cave somewhere, created an evil race. That's what Vulcan is actually referring to. But we're not to spend too much time on that though.
Yeah. We should do a video on that at some point.
And at an alarming rate. They try to get us with vaccines. It's not working fast enough. They try to get us with controlled diseases. Not working fast enough. They try to get us to encourage us to kill ourselves through abortion and through Planned Parenthood. Still not working fast enough. Alcohol, locking the men up. None of these things are working fast enough. We're still procreating too quickly, while they at the same time are not able to procreate as fast. So they are literally backwards. Their birth rates are backwards. So they are afraid. Hence why the question, if you watch the vice presidential debate, if you want to call it a debate, that we saw last night, one of the questions was Roe v. Wade that they brought up.
So yeah, again, y'all, the language is very interesting right here. You know, he's really good at sales. I'll say that. When he's talking about, they cannot produce. It's not that the white population generally can't produce at high rates, because they have in the past, especially like white Catholics historically reproduce at a high rate, just like white, Hispanic, Latin Catholics did, because they don't believe in birth control. So there was a time period we all read back in the day, the classics, where white families were having 20 kids. So it's not that they can't do it. They don't produce a lot of kids for the similar reasons that a lot of people don't, which is for economic purposes. And then whenever and we talked about the Black community historically, when people that believed in eugenics and stuff like that, they were anti Black people. They did go to the Black community, the leaders, and say, hey, look, if you want to have financial mobility and be able to really get ahead economically, it's better for you to abort your kids, because you abort your kids, you don't have as many mouths to feed. And because if you do that right there, you'll be able to get more economically advanced in our capitalist society. That is historically what was told. And that was a big push. And Blacks do make up almost 50% of the abortion cases today. So that part is true. But the same thing they told the Blacks that historically is the same reason why white people today don't have as many kids, for economic purposes. But that's not I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm not saying that's the only reason. That's the dominant reason. Mm-hmm. So it's not a conspiracy there. The same thing Blacks were told historically, same thing white people don't do it today.
The abortion bill, and they're considering turning that over and banning abortion, not because they care about life at all. As Brother Lord Jamar just said, they don't give a damn about you, whether if you're Black or white, but especially if you're Black, but because they know that their numbers are dwindling and they cannot allow these white women to go get abortions. They have to force them to keep these babies. See?
And that's not for
really
us,
what it is.
That's not for us. Like they're not going to turn it over so that Black women can stop having abortions. Oh, they want us to keep doing it. It's their women that they want to sanction to not be able to have abortions.
That's a fact.
And call it reproductive rights. That's such fucking retarded bullshit.
So, Lord, you want to add on to that cipher?
Go ahead, Bill.
Man, I mean, he really said it. It's like these. Hang on, we were just talking about the reproduction of the white man. Genetic survival. Yeah, I mean, it's all. Our ancestor, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she really said it best. Like
that's right.
They are just fearful. These people, they're recessive. Like how many white people do you know that have to go to fertility clinics and shit like that?
Go ahead.
You see, they be having a lot of twins and shit like that because they're doing artificial inseminations and all this kind of nonsense and shit like that. Oh, we finally got pregnant and shit like that. They be trying and crying because the shit. Oh, it didn't work this time. And how many Black people do you really know that go through shit like that? Think about it. We be tripping over the stairs and get pregnant. Achoo, she's pregnant. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they have these sick little, like royalty tries to keep the bloodline pure and all this type of shit. Try to keep it, yes, and they'll do inbreeding, keep it as white as possible. Also, they try to mess with the calendar and all of this type of shit, leap year and daylight savings time. And see, this is all in an effort to try to extend their time, to try to fool you. Even the calendar itself, they fucked with that. They fucked with the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Exactly. We got an Asiatic calendar. You see what I'm saying? There's different calendars, not just his calendar. So it's a lot of chicanery on this man's part of trying to extend his time and fool us into thinking that he's God, basically. But he's definitely running scared out.
Yeah, I mean,
He's trying to fool and convince himself that.
Yeah, I just want to say when it comes to a lot of these theories, we got to have like some kind of test of falsifiability. They can make these claims about, white people struggling to have babies more than other races and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, it's kind of turned into a white versus black thing where they say they. I'm assuming that's some type of metaphor for, or euphemism for white people on some level. But remember, y'all, the they is all of us, whether all the Supreme Court justices were black or white or Asian, it doesn't mean that, Roe versus Wade would be overturned or anything like that. These people that live in the population. So it's not like it's that conspiracy thing. It'd be really difficult to be able to prove because it's people in the population that are in these positions that are setting this precedent and outlawing or whatever abortion and stuff like that. I'm just with everything they said. I don't think a lot of this has to do with value for life to some extent, but some of it does. Some of the people who do go against abortion, their views are pretty clear. So I think we just got to take that into consideration. We're listening to guys like this. These guys are pushing an agenda that's more of a religious conviction they have, and it's not rooted in any sound reason. What I mean by that is this they specifically. This they keep referring to, these group of people that we can't identify that are evil and conspiring against all black people.
Well, the problem is if you were to identify who this they is, then we would be able to ask questions and investigate, which would at some point start to erode a lot of the mass hysteria that surrounded a lot of the mystery.
Yeah.
Once you put a face on the mysterious overlord of they, then we can start asking questions. We can identify. We can start combating, if you will. Excuse me. But as long as it's a big bad wolf that you never see, then we just have to rely on the information coming from the folks like Islam, Rizza, or
Jamal.
Somebody.
I did want to add this too to keep in mind that the blacks' birth rates actually significantly dropped too in the past, I think, 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's not just whites. I think Hispanics are the ones that's steady rising, but Asian / Pacific, theirs are dropping.
And the thing about their rates are rising, but they have the highest reports of ED. And so that's part of it too. We look up impotency, relative to different ethnic groups. It's not that much of a difference, but what I've seen, the Hispanics tend to be the highest in that. I haven't seen for the women when it comes to fertility and stuff like that, but I don't think there's this stark contrast that they're making it out to be.
Yeah, some of the research I've seen was blacks was 3% more than whites. It wasn't a significant number.
That's not a big significant difference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is more of that, I'm black, so I'm better, and I'm gonna just assert we're better, and they suck because they're white. And you don't need to look it up because you love yourself. Yeah, I love myself. That means you don't gotta look it up. Just believe what I'm saying is true because I'm boosting us up.
Mm-hmm.
Our team's good. Their team sucks.
A very egocentric point of view. Where it's like, listen, man, we're so awesome that the entire world is against us, and they have a specific agenda to stomp us out, and that's what pretty much everything is attached to. So, if you believe that white people like black people, you can go ahead and jump on this here bandwagon we got for you.
Yeah, I just want to caution the audience and listeners to that what Fresh just said, because that can lead to a narcissistic personality. So yeah, just try to caution when you hear this type of rhetoric that's being spewed. You about to say something about Vulcan?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it was now. So yeah, sorry about that.
That's right.
Lord Jamal, we're going to kind of stick with you for this next one. How effective or detrimental can a tool like social media be, specifically as it relates to black people?
How effective or detrimental? I mean, I think it depends in whose hands it's in. If it's in an intelligent person's hands, then it can be very effective. It could be used like how you're using it right now, to bring knowledge and awareness to massive people at once. You're hitting people worldwide right now. Somebody was just talking about they're in Sweden. They said, I'm in Sweden. The chips is real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where else, you can't necessarily do that under other mediums, this fast or whatever the case.
Yeah, pause.
With this type of response,
I think we all got to be just careful with our words. A lot of times, it's in our society, we tend to equate intelligence with virtue.
Virtues.
And so this is what he's doing right here. Is in the hands of somebody who's intelligent, and then he names things he couldn't spread knowledge, blah 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 blah. People that are intelligent can be good, they can be neutral, they can be evil in whatever ways that they are. We just got to recognize it's nothing to do with intelligence. I mean, people that are intelligent are just more crafty and more strategic about how they go about doing things for good or for evil, or for neutral. So it's gotta be careful with that, y'all. A lot of times people hear, "Oh, intelligent, oh that's good," dumbness, "Oh that's bad," and everything in between. But those are just, intelligence is just a tool to get things accomplished. And the more intelligent you are, more experienced you are, whatever it is, more wise that you are, you're able to accomplish things in a more efficient, productive way, whether that's going to be, again, good or bad.
We got the chat and all of that. They can talk directly to us and all that. But now on the converse, you put it in a fool's hands. You know what I mean? And we could just be up here right now, pulling out guns and whatever, pulling out money and on the screen and all this nonsense, and just promoting all kind of death and destruction. It depends on whose hands it's in. So that's why they don't want it in the hands of people like us.
Right,
really,
right.
They don't want us to really control it in a way that's popular, that's influential. They want the idiots to be influential. They want them to be the influencers. But when that magnetic is there, it's there. So that's why people like Rizza is popular online. Right. That's why people like Brother Ben X is popular. People like myself, even the sister Nilam, she's popular online, like because we in the 2020 now, and people are seeing clearly.
Go ahead.
Right. With that said, family, please like the video, share it, subscribe, follow.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't get his point with that. The people that are showing the guns and flashing the money are even more popular than they are. Not that I subscribe to that stuff myself. I would agree with them that I don't prefer to see that stuff, on social media. But and so I also want to address that part, his latter part first. But then the first part that he brought up, which was, they don't want us, people like us, having social media. Who's this they again, right? He's talking about YouTube, because YouTube actually pays them to do it. I mean, so who are these people who don't want them to have this platform? That's my question for all the folks out there.
They get a percentage. They get a cut.
This is reminiscent for me of the kid who didn't make the football team because he might have been a little slower, a little weaker than some of the other ones. And instead of working harder, he would just say, "Man, the coach don't like me. That's why I ain't make the team."
Yeah.
Like, man, he got 40 other kids to worry about, man. He not going to weaken himself, his own team, his own chances, and ignore your greatness just because he don't like you. Like, that don't sound, that's not as realistic as, hey, you probably need to do a little bit better, brother.
Yeah, and I think it's that, and it also can be the fact that it's like, hey, y'all, look at us. We're fighting for y'all's rights. We're they don't want us to be doing this, so we must be doing it right. If they don't want us to do it, we must be doing it right. So listen to us, because they don't want us to be here. So they become like a martyr. It's like, no, you're just fine. They pay you to do this. You're just, nothing's gonna happen to you. Your show's gonna continue to persist, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, a lot of our people got rich off talking about these things. Live in nice communities. A lot wrote books, do lectures all across the country.
Very important. A lot of people in the building. Gotta get those likes up. We want to get this video to go viral. Please like, subscribe, share. Brother Rizza, this is a question about going back into social media. Are we willingly giving up our rights to privacy by engaging in social media?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Oh,
That's
man, social media. That's a definite. No, see, this is why I wrote a book and I covered social media in one entire chapter. Because first of all, social media was not something that was given to us as a tool to help us in the first place. It was a way to intrude in our privacy in a way where we would accept it. So it was an avenue that they used to get us to accept being spied on, being surveilled, being, checked on, being watched, etc., in a way where we would accept it and not really check to see, or we wouldn't really be suspicious of it. But the government's been spying on, been taking away the rights for years and years and years. Well before, first of all, we've never really had rights to be a black person. But if you want to go to a certain technical level of rights, you're talking about the Federal Reserve Act all the way back in 1913, 1914, where people were sold to the international banking family. So then the rights were taken away completely then. But when it comes to the social media construct, there is no privacy, meaning there's no Fifth Amendment. There's not really freedom of speech, not really. You have freedom of speech to a degree, to a certain level, up to a certain point, until your speech starts to intimidate or anger or irritate the powers that be, and then you'll be censored. So there's not really that First Amendment, freedom of religion, speech.
Well, obviously, every type of freedom is going to have a limit to it. We need not, have a disdain for the lack of freedoms that we have, because it's going to have a limit if we're all going to coexist together. That's just the way it's going to have to work. So when he says that we're not really, black people are not really free, but blah, blah, blah. It's like, black people have been free for a while, and again, this one is really important to recognize, this nirvana fallacy thing again here. If you're comparing America to our idealized version of America, and it's going to be different head to head, right? Mind to mind, how we would describe the perfect government that protected our liberties. Yeah, America's going to fall short. But
anywhere is going to fall short. That ideal set of freedom doesn't exist anywhere in the known world.
Exactly. But when you compare America to China and Russia and other places like that, we have a lot more freedom than they have over there.
And here's the thing: anytime freedom is given by an entity, then that entity is going to have limits set on it for whatever the reasons are. So anybody who's somehow looking to benefit from the country that you live in and not have to abide by any of the structures and standards put in place to keep it running like that, should really kind of check your reality.
Yeah, even within a household, kids can have different levels of liberty in a household, and then it's going to vary household to household. It might even vary culturally, different cultures of homes. So obviously liberty is going to be a little different everywhere, and there's always going to be that fight between giving people freedom and also protecting people and having safety. So I think in this case right here, he's taking the imperfections or the limitations that we don't prefer to have because can be bratty children at times, and he's going to say that there's a sinister plot going on.
Exactly. This is the bratty child, the teenager who says, "I can't wait to get out on my own because I can do this, and that." And then when they get out there on their own, they realize, "Oh snap! These rules that my parents had in place were for a reason."
Yeah.
You hear about that. You hear a lot of blacks people when they travel overseas, they come back and say they're grateful to live in America. When they go to third world countries, I noticed that's a consistent thing. They actually appreciate living in America.
And this again, this is not
the perfect. That is what said is don't let the perfect
is great. This is saying America is not as bad as some people will have you believe when they want to talk you into revolting against America.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the quote, the famous quote: "Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good." So, yeah,
cool press petition or assembly, not entirely. So the social media thing that I keep telling people is be very wise about what it is that you post. Be wise about what it is that you say. Be mindful about what it is that you are engaging in when you're even on there, because the FBI and CIA, they have over 30,000 accounts on social media as a way to monitor, to sow discord, to sow division, to keep issues going back and forth, and also to distract. You know, like with somebody like myself, Lord Jamar, yourself, we get up there and we start educating the people about certain things. They'll put certain people in chat rooms to start distracting. You know, start distracting.
Crisis,
You know, we call them trolls.
Posters, I call them.
Crisis.
I'm not going to speak on this too long, but I mean, I wouldn't doubt the 30,000 accounts thing. But would you rather live in a government who's monitoring what's going on social media, a government that's not? Because the reality for me is,
without knowing would be, I would hazard a guess that more people would say that they would rather the government that doesn't monitor social media.
Yeah, because for me, I'm thinking in my head, like, whenever a bombing or something's going to take place, you know, a lot of this stuff there's some kind of digital record of it somewhere in today's time period. You know, and again, this is going to always be that debate about your liberties versus your safety. But I mean, I would ask it probably this way and say, if you were over the government and you were running a 360 million people nation, would you have 30,000 social media sites out there?
Some of y'all creep on your significant others' social media accounts.
Yeah,
you actually love them.
That's
talking about the nerve.
The nerve.
You telling me you're not doing stuff? Hey man, don't be out here. Don't listen. If you got a daughter in your household and you tell her, listen, you need to not be out here messing with little boys because you can mess around and get pregnant. Imagine you as a parent finding out that she's messing with boys by finding out by her telling you that she's pregnant. I bet you won't do it again. I bet you the next opportunity you get, you be all up and through her stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to preventative measures. Listen, last time I did this, it didn't work out because it ain't like it ain't like the government has always been as involved in social media as they are now. Now, I'm not saying that they haven't been surveilling, but social media was a novelty at one point in time. Social media was the Wild Wild West at one point in time. And I imagine if we were to be able to see all the documentation and stuff of wild things that happen that the government is trying to prevent, I bet you we'd be more willing to be like, you know what, they might need to be out here doing some of this stuff.
So you might change your perspective, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not completely, but at the very least, you might understand why there needs to be a presence at all.
Definitely. All right.
Yeah. Right, and it's all to take the attention. They'll put certain people in chat rooms to start distracting. Start distracting.
Crisis,
we call them trolls.
Posters, I call them.
Crisis posters.
Yeah.
Right, and it's all to take the attention away from the goal. So the same things we deal with in real life, we're dealing with now on social media, in the virtual realm. Same reality, different avenue, different way of doing it. So yes, we have given up our rights when we choose to utilize social media. But again, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, be careful of how you use social media. Be wise about how you talk. Be wise about how you post. That's one reason why he's still relevant, because he makes sure that he gets to the people regardless of where they are. He's like, oh, what is that? Twitter, Instagram? I need to get on that. Like, that's what he said. He said, what's that? Facebook? I need to get on that. Why? Because that's where my people are.
I need to get on the Facebook.
Man, exactly, right? So it is a tool. It's a tool. We can use it. It's like a gun. You can use it if you choose, but you have to be wise about when you're using it and how you're using it, and just be careful.
But here's the thing I'd like to just add on. It's not just social media. We gave away our privacy when we picked up one of these.
Yes, absolutely.
Your cell phone a long time ago.
Right.
They've been tracking you with this.
Right.
Yep.
They've been tracking you with your phone. They've been, they've been listening to you. You see what I'm saying? You think they're really not listening to you, and not just your phone calls, just through the microphone. So the same way you talk about, be careful what you say online. Be careful what you say when your phone is on, and they can do things that even when it's off.
Yep.
They can still be tracking you and all of that. So if y'all gonna be I
just want the audience to hear this. They. It's lazy. It's lazy. Who? Verizon? T-Mobile, Cricket, Metro PC, the government, the FCC.
Hey man, don't act like you don't know we're talking about the white man.
All the above.
Yeah, I'm really trying to figure this thing out. We're just using this again, this ambiguous term, the they.
I want to add on to that we our people have been using this they for decades, and at this point, I gotta wonder, how come y'all don't know who they is yet?
All right, so I'm gonna try to every time they say day, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna see how many times. Can y'all hear that? Let me see.
Yeah, I can already tell after 10 times, I'm gonna be like, hey, stop doing that. It's too much.
You know, doing crimes and all. You know how many times people get caught on the first 48 from their cell phones pinging off the towers? First of all, satellites are fake. I'm gonna just let y'all know. They have high flying balloons, but they don't have satellites. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, they're always going by your cell phone, pinging off a satellite. Okay, I mean not a satellite, off a tower.
No, go back to the satellite.
You know where you are because your phone's moving around. This is called transfix. How you can transfix someone's position. Like they've been doing this for the longest time. Like since World War II, you can transfix somebody's position through radio frequencies. Look it up. That's how GPS is what GPS is based off of. So anyway, your phone, man. And now your phone has the internet. You see, so now you really keep it with you. Now it's like everything is merged into one. This is the ultimate surveillance tracking system. And the next one is to integrate it into your body.
That's right.
That's where transhumanism and all of that comes in. Where wouldn't it be, you're always losing your phone. Wouldn't it be great if you could just tap your forehead and answer your calls? Kind of like your earbuds now. You tap the earbud and it comes on. You see what I'm saying? But now imagine that would be fantastic. Fall out, and they make it fall out on purpose so that you'd want it implanted. But I wish they would just never fall out. They don't have to. I could just implant an earbud right behind your real ear. Really? That'd be cool.
And some people are
the
doing
celebrities
that.
got it. Yeah, Jay-Z got one. Word. Yeah, he got a platinum one.
Damn, we got.
I want to get me one.
Damn,
that's how they sell it.
Damn. So, Rizza, I want to come back to you real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me ask this question, because this is what I don't understand when I hear these dudes talk about certain things, because they often conflate, or even if they're not conflating, they often lapse into or lapse from conversations about how the government, quote unquote, they is holding the black man back, or is targeting the black man into things that affect every American. Like right now they're talking about the progression of technology as a way to track. I'm like, what white person don't have a phone? What white? And to be honest with you, if you're talking about pure population, the desires of the Caucasian consumer in that particular space far outweigh the desire of black people.
Yeah,
just sheer numbers. Like, you telling me that you're able to sell some of the creature comforts and the conveniences in technology if white people don't want it? It just annoys me, because I'm like, what is y'all's point? Because right now you're talking about something that affects all of us. Where are you going with this conversation? Because right now you're kind of sporadic, you're jumping around.
Yeah, I tend to agree with them on a lot of the points that they're making, as far as like this technology does infringe upon our rights in our security. In our privacy. If you work for a company and they give you a company vehicle, then you have a dash cam on there. You have camera facing you, facing outside. When companies switch over, nobody likes that kind of stuff.
They're not infringing upon your rights. They're infringing upon your privacy, but you're giving that up. That's not an infringement.
Yeah, you're giving it up.
Nobody's forcing you to do these things. If you don't want a cell phone, you don't have to have a cell phone. You can go get a brick Nokia. If you don't want to drive in that company car, you can not work for that company. Like this is the freedom of choice. That's why these types of things are able to be done, is because the American public often goes for the consumer comfort of it all. That's why Amazon can get into the garage. But let somebody break into your house through your garage. You're gonna be up in arms. But you let a random Amazon driver who you don't know, you're probably not gonna see. And the reason you're not gonna see it is because you're not home. That's why you gave them access to your house. But it's the creature comforts, it's the conveniences, and that is why we are willing as the American public to give up these rights. I don't characterize it as an infringement, because an infringement to me is something that will be against your will. While you're talking about, oh well, yeah, I offer you something and you take it because you
Yeah,
like
yeah. I think again, we're bringing up these points. You said an excellent point by saying this is something that affects everybody across the board, no matter what your race is, quote unquote, whether ethnicity, however you want to say it. It affects everybody the same way. And technology is going to continue to progress, but it's not some kind of scheme from the they, to get it to where they can track us everywhere. It's probably some guy who's really into technology, really into telecommunication and stuff like that, and he's trying to figure out, how do I beat out this other company who's selling the same as I think I'm selling? Okay, I got to make my invention more convenient, more less expensive, more unique. Hey, you know what? If I integrate it into the body, AT&T ain't doing that. I
right.
would.
The people who are pressing the technology, they're just problem solvers.
That's it.
They're just
Yes.
problem solving.
The
Now,
problem
Some of these
solver.
technologies are not coming from America. Some of the technologies are coming from other countries like China.
most of this technology is coming from other countries. What is you talking about?
So are they a part of the American government?
That's what exactly.
China.
That's the point. They're part of they. All of a sudden, it affects everybody across the world, and that's another thing. Like cell phones and tracking and all this stuff. So what they're trying to do is demonize technology, even though they held up their phone, right? They talk about the honorable Louis Farrakhan. It's on all the social media platforms. You're demonizing technology when, like you said, it's a tool.
Yeah, he
So
just said it. Yeah, he said that earlier to the host, Grant. He said, "You're intelligent and you're able to get this message across the world using this same technology."
Now,
correct, exactly.
Millennials, you had a chronological history in terms of social media and how it impacted legislation to bring us where we
Yes.
are now in terms of just the removal of all privacy that we thought we had in the first place. Can you just go through that briefly?
Sure, absolutely. The first thing people, the first one wasn't MySpace. It wasn't Photo Bucket. It wasn't any of those. When you're talking about social media, people have to start somewhere that is called 6 degrees. And we're talking about people actually, mingling online and learning about each other, et cetera. Start all the way from 6 degrees and then go down in order and stop in 2001 with 9/11. This was that pivotal year where the government did so many things simultaneously to not only destroy the rights of the people, to invade the privacy of the people, but also to destroy the sovereignty of other nations, to invade other nations for vested interest groups, specifically for international bankers, et cetera. And that was the Patriot Act at that time. And through the Patriot Act, they made the people believe that we're going to invade your privacy to protect you.
Right.
We're going to invade your privacy to protect you. See, this is the insanity that we're dealing with in this government here.
Just
Listen,
like they're doing now with all these
literally
masks and shit,
Right.
vaccines.
For
It's
the
really
vaccination,
crazy.
same thing.
It's really crazy. So it always comes in the name of health. That's what, the devil always comes looking like an angel of light. Someone who is evil always comes looking like a friend. See, it's very wicked how they do it. So
They
it's
have to
always
scare
putting
you into
that truth
doing
and
it, too.
falsehood. Exactly. And fear is
See,
always
there was
that
a
tactic.
crisis. Oh my God, they attacked us. You better let us
Exactly.
do this. Oh my God,
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's a disease right now. You're gonna die. You better let us do this.
Vaccinate you. Come on, that's where it's always
I'm
through
telling you,
fear.
we
It's
need to be
always through
safe.
deception. Wars through deception. That's what they do. So through the Patriot Act, that's the major thing. And then after that, they started to add things on every couple of years to violate more and more and more things when it came to.
the thing about the concept that they're articulating right now, in a lot of ways, I'm in agreement. I mean, that's a very American idea where we can be very anti-authority. This nation was founded on the principle of protecting our liberties. The people that founded this country were fleeing a monarchy. So that's a big deal for all of us. And then us being Texans, even more so. So again, I'm what they're saying is not something is foreign to me or something I'm completely in a disagreement with. I just don't like the associations and the stigmas they place on these things, because that's a very human reflex. Anytime you want to protect something, you are going to want to limit it a little bit more. No matter what it is, a business, a baby, your kids, your wife, your husband, Whatever it is you're trying to do, your vehicle, you want to pick and choose. I got friends, we go places, they only put their car in valet. That's it. They're not parking no parking garage. They limit where that car can be because they want to ensure its safety, its protection. That's just a human reflex. It's not just altogether sinister. I'm not saying people don't use as a nice tactic, hey, I want to protect you, to take some more of your liberties or to invade more of your privacy. That part is true. But that happens regardless of whether or not it's a sinister plot or not. If I want to protect you, I'm going to want to limit your movements. Last example I use is a security guard. When you see these famous celebrities, that security guard is limiting that celebrity's movement. Hey, you can't come here. You can't go here at this certain time. We got to do it this way. Same thing with the president, So the whole thing is that we know that is a reality when it comes to protecting people or things. You're going to limit things so that you can have more control over what can affect them. So even though I can stand in step with these guys on the fact that we got to be leery of government and or authority organizations or figures may use their wide, gaze and their long arm to limit us and take away certain freedoms and liberties that we like to enjoy. Some of that, sometimes that's to keep us in the right place. Sometimes that's to protect us from things that really would try to hurt us. And so we got to make a distinction between doing, taking away people's securities and liberties and freedom of movement for bad purposes and for good purposes. These guys are mixing it all together, making it more so convoluted. It just all looks the same. Anybody who wants to limit your liberty or take away your invade your privacy, it's they again trying to control you and cause confusion and take control of your life.
Here's another point that I want to make. When you're talking to, when you attribute these types of actions to a they, right? This is an entity that we can't stop or control or really identify. Apparently, you essentially are the bratty child complaining about the parents' rules while still living in the parents' household. Because the truth of the matter is, and this goes back to the first half of our conversation. Truth of the matter is if you really have that much of a problem with the way things are run, you could leave. You could put your cell phone down, right?
Yeah.
You could not have a cell phone. You could not have a computer. But the fact of the matter is that the way that you've gotten comfortable to living in America, the way America is run, these are creature comforts that you're not willing to do without. So if you may not like it, and I understand. Don't get me like Vulcan said. I understand the disdain for it. I'm not knocking that. I'm saying, why complain about it while still using these things? If you're gonna complain about it, and you really mean that, stand on business. Go and return your cell phone. But you can't, because it offers you creature comforts that you don't have without it. So unfortunately, a lot of this stuff comes with the territory. A lot of this stuff, a lot of the like you said earlier, Vulcan, you as well, a lot of this stuff comes with living in America. You can go live anywhere else you want to.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier, is most people come back and be like, man, I'm glad. You will be willing to deal with that. These type of complaints give me really like spoiled child vibes. Like, I got everything here, right? Listen, I just want to do what I want to do, right? I don't like these rules. I don't care why they're in here for, right? I don't care that I eat every day. I don't care that I got a roof over my head. I don't care that,
I don't care that I go in the bathroom and have the shower running for an hour while I'm on the phone.
Exactly. And a hot shower too, and complain if the water is cold. I don't care about that stuff, because this particular inconvenience to me right now, I want to hyper focus on it because it is an inconvenience. And that also goes to, and I'm not going to dwell on this point too much, that also goes to the fact that as Americans, we're spoiled. All of us, not Black Americans, not white Americans, all of us, because you people, you
You people.
Americans, you Americans stay complaining about, and there's even it happens so much. There's a colloquialism for it. First world problems,
Oh,
often
oh.
said tongue in cheek. You complain,
Mm.
you complain about the government knowing where you're at. Why would that bother you, sir, ma'am?
Mm.
That would be my question. I don't care if the government knows where I'm at. I ain't doing nothing crazy. I ain't doing nothing stupid out here.
That is convenient when you have that GPS, especially for those that got kids or loved ones when you're traveling, and you can give them the
Exactly.
location. It's benefits to it, but I mean, I get what both sides are saying.
And
But
that's what I do understand. But why rail against it if you're not going to do something about it?
yeah,
I bet you, Rizza Islam, while you talking about the government tracking him, uses GPS on his cell phone, which is probably the most up to date iPhone, to get to the studio today.
You sure, bro? I'm pretty sure he's using the truck map, the trucker's map, man, when he's traveling.
Hey, I just want to
My
let you
private
know
school.
the truck is much more tracked. Is much more better tracked. Ooh, that sounds terrible. It's much better tracked than your personal cell phone, because that truck got millions of dollars worth of assets on
When it came to violating each right that you had in every single amendment, etc. If you look on the terms and conditions of every single one of your apps, they will tell you plain and clear, one, that what you say, what you post, what you make public can be used in court cases. Number one. Something we really got to understand on this, because when I've seen certain things happening where people were getting convicted because of Facebook posts, and I'm like, look, dude, this is the enemy's network, man. Like, it's not, oh, it's my wall, it's my page. Okay, yeah, no, you're borrowing the page from your
This is
enemy, bro.
my
You don't own
page.
this, right? Like, you don't own it. This is the little room that they let you rent
Right.
in their house. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful, because Edward Snowden, of course, brought all this out. Glenn Greenwald also brought some of it out as well. That's why Edward Snowden left America. That's why so many former Marines, Ken O'Keefe, who's a major one, talks about this, talks about 9/11, talks about, the Zionist bankers, etc. He left America, burned his passport, burned his citizenship, left, and he said because America is the epitome of hypocrisy. You have destroyed the rights of all the people. You literally have become the surveillance state. More of the towers and everything dealing with the surveillance is turned.
Pause. Again, folks out there, you gotta, this whole America has become the epitome of hypocrisy. Come on, man. You're talking about, I don't know, I gotta look up how many actual countries there are, but you mean America is the epitome of it for real?
it. China got cameras on every street corner and have had that for
And
a
they're
long
having
time.
conversations over there like that. They're not doing this thing that these guys are able to do over here right now on this show.
Nah, they're definitely not. They ain't got no podcast talking about the government.
making money off of it, living in
Yeah, exactly,
nice
getting paid off of
neighborhoods.
They're getting paid off this platform, and so he says, y'all, you think you own it? You don't own it. You renting a little room in their place. Okay, YouTube owns this stuff. Facebook owns it. Instagram owns it. Twitter owns it. Not the government. So my point in saying this is that, again, a lot of this hyperbole and creating this boogie monster lives under the bed that's going to attack you if you step the wrong way. A lot of this stuff is just fear mongering.
It shifts so much because is it the white man? Is it the government? Is it corporations? Like which monster under the bed is it today, and why one we don't differentiate at all? It's just they.
So when this white supremacy stuff come out, I feel like these guys are grasping at straws because they don't really have points specifically to blacks. So they're just saying anything that affects whites and blacks and Asians and everybody else. You remember what the original question was, everybody? You know what I'm saying? How do we get on all the things that affect everybody all together? That's the part that I'm not understanding. But again, this right here, this right here passes as intellectual discourse and articulation because we can forget the original topic.
Well, because it's ignorance. It's ignorance.
Well, but it's ignorance, but he has a lot of facts in there too. A lot of things that make sense, a lot of information that's
Not
accurate.
his ignorance. he's counting on the ignorance of the audience.
Oh yeah.
People are listening to this, and they're already on this bandwagon, and they are giving him a bunch of preach on, brother, and not realizing, which is why we're here, is you need to analyze everything he's saying because it doesn't all line up. Like Vulcan said, there are some facts in here, there are some good points in here, which is why we're not knocking it overall. We're saying you gotta be consistent with the points. You can't. And when you're talking about hypocrisy, a man who's worried about the government tracking him, holding up his phone, and his leader is on every social media platform. So why should he not be preaching personal accountability as opposed to beware of the they?
Facts.
And inward. They make you think they're protecting you from terrorists outside of America when they are surveying you, watching you, and looking for domestic terrorists in America. So all of that is dealing with a system of control, and that's where we are right now. So social media is possibly the greatest tool that the CIA or the FBI could have ever.
He says you think they're looking for foreign terrorists, but they're really looking for domestic terrorists. Well, I hope they do it. I hope they find them too. That's all I wanted to say.
But this is a country that lets foreigners in. There's millions of foreigners inside this country, so they're not just looking for domestic terrorists. They're also looking for foreign terrorists.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now. So social media is possibly the greatest tool that the CIA or the FBI could have ever imagined. We have given up everything willingly, and on top of that, they use a large level of psychologists to maintain it, which is why all of what they have deals with psychology. The question that they have on Facebook when you post is, "What's on your mind?" It's very deep psychological question. Isn't that what the little seeker asked Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Total Recall? You know, when they brought him to him and he said, "Touch my hands." He said, "Open your mind. What's on your mind?" That's psychological. You know, to make you feel comfortable. So no, brother, it's all warfare. And we have to understand that warfare starts spiritually, then it goes mentally. And this is where we are right now. If we don't get this by now, bro, we will never be successful. But I think, again, it's 2020. I think we're starting to wake up regardless.
Pause.
Powerful. Thank
you. Just want to make this quick point again. Y'all, this day, is he referring to Facebook? That says what's on your mind? That is a private entity, a private institution that has had to testify before committees about how they've handled their website, because the government holds them accountable and is interested in how their structure, their corporation affects young people and trafficking and all the different things that are going on along that right there. They're being held accountable. So I'm pointing out to say it's not the same entity. The government or white supremacy is not Facebook. It's not Instagram. It's not Twitter. So then he's what he's doing, y'all, is he's getting y'all stirred up emotionally about white supremacy and control and taking our freedoms, and they don't really have our best interest at heart. I'm not saying all that's not true on some level, but it's not completely true. It's not the whole picture. It's not even most of the picture. And so the reality is that he's going to take that and then he's going to bring it over to anything that you do in your regular life. Facebook, Instagram. They say, "What's on your mind?" That's a psychological trick. Yeah, it is a psychological trick. What's on your mind? But that's what any of us would do if we were smart enough or thoughtful enough or whatever to create Facebook and make billions of dollars off of it. You don't think we would put something like "What's on your mind" on there as well? Freshly, would y'all have put "What's on your mind" on there if you thought about the idea and you own Facebook or you're the CEO of Facebook or whatever?
If the goal of my platform is to get as much engagement from people as possible, I'm doing whatever it takes because I'm getting paid for this engagement. So again, you would assign discrimination and government interference and racism. You would assign all those things, all these actions to those things, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, this is capitalism. This entity is trying to make as much money as they possibly can."
Yeah, and y'all, there's a principle, when it comes to explanations called Occam's razor. In short, Occam's razor just says the simplest explanation is usually the best explanation. So is it capitalism, or is it a government conspiracy created to have control over your life and to limit your liberties? Which one makes more sense? They would just want to make money, or they have some reason to control the guy, me, who I have, my daily life. Oh, sorry, I'm not on camera. My daily life, I'm not doing anything that the government would really too much care about. Why would they want to control my life and limit my liberties? They'd rather make money off of me. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: when you're talking about that type of stuff, what about Black centric experiences, like Black Planet? Black Planet is Black owned, right? Are they part of they, or are they just trying to make money?
Yeah. Facts.
Have y'all seen pictures
Well,
of
Jamal, just going into a different field right now. We talked about social media. We're going to talk about some other mediums, and just in terms of communication. We look at like music and other means of entertainment, being used negatively to our people. What can we do to try to change that?
I mean, fight fire with water.
Right.
We have to come with the opposite. Like, you see what I'm saying? But it has to be just as strong. So you use the tools that the devil uses for evil, but you use them for good. So if they making a dope ass hip hop song, that's talking about a woman's wet ass pussy and all this nonsense, then you need to make a dope ass one talking about she's a queen and you know what I mean, and that she's royalty. But it has to be just as dope. It can't be conscious just for conscious sake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it got to be just as dope as the negative one, or matter of fact, it needs to be better.
Right.
It needs to be better to be more attractive.
Right. That sunshine with fire.
So that's how you fight them.
Pause it real quick. I don't lose track of the 2 points that he made. One was, if they create a song for wet, blah blah blah, you need to create a song about righteousness. And then it needs to be just as good. So 2 points about that. One, the they is the artist. Again, they're turning any they that's out there into the they.
The entity that's out to get you.
Any a they is becoming the they once they say it. If the audience can follow that right there, they're turning it all into the same they. The artist creates the music. When Cameron's writing his lyrics, or Jay-Z's writing his lyrics, or State Property, anybody you would name, Kanye West, these guys writing lyrics, they are not getting the government to write the lyrics for them. They're writing it themselves. Think about your local homeboys, your local, rappers in your community. Think about how egotistical and narcissistic they are. You know what I'm saying? Our friends, some of us rapped at one point in time. We write our lyrics.
I think Rizza Islam and people of his ilk would then challenge and say that they are pushing the negative aspects of the culture because it weakens us.
Well, my argument to that would be then the they needs to change. It's not a battle between us and this they that they're referring to. It's an internal battle between us and us.
Facts. That's why I brought that point up, because I would say if I'm a rapper and I want to make a lot of money, again, this is consumerism. It's not racism. It's consumerism. It's a consumer relationship, supply and demand. Let me look out on the horizon at the landscape and see what's the easiest to get into and what people are liking, what the majority of people are liking. So I can rap about a black queen. I can rap about social justice. I can rap about any of this stuff that would quote unquote enrich the community, or I can rap about drug dealers.
Yeah, let me speak to that real quick, because I was gonna make another point, but you said a point that I wanted to bring up earlier. So he talked about Black Queen, right? Now, y'all, Black Queen, Black Empress, that's a monarchy. This is gonna go against everything you just got done saying, limiting your civil liberties, infringing upon your rights, control. Nobody had more control historically than monarchies. They owned the land. They got the women that they want. They owned all the land.
It's an
Everything was there.
egocentric tactic, though. We are all kings and queens. This is
Yeah.
confidence. We need to be like. If that's the way you want to feel, that's the way you want to feel. I'm just.
Yeah, I just want to point out the intellectual inconsistency here. Saying a black queen, a black king, you don't even believe in monarchies. You're anti-authority, anti-establishment. This is Putin times 10.
But they most folks would harken back to the times of ancient Egypt when kings and queens were black. Those are monarchies. That's one person who says what goes on, and that person is seen as a god. Everyone else sucks comparatively.
And guess how they voted on who's going to be the leader?
They did it.
They did it. It was genetic.
It was genetic. Listen,
and that's what they was doing when they was inbreeding.
Exactly. Exactly.
They was sleeping with their mothers and saying
these
and all kind of stuff.
It's convenient because they are an appeal to emotion. They make you feel good because they are preying upon the fact that you are unhappy with certain things, so they would have you rail against the entire system. This is the nirvana fallacy that Vulcan keeps referring to. They are, and when I say they, let me define it because I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about black quote unquote intellectuals like Dr. Umar, or Rizza Islam, or people of that ilk. And my co-host can give you a bunch of other names that would fit this, but they are, because they need you to lock on to what they're saying, because guess what, guys, they live in a capitalistic society too. None of these
winning, and they're winning too.
They are making a killing off of y'all. None of them are doing it for free. None of them are giving this knowledge. They're all doing it on here. They're all monetizing this content. And guess what? You know how they're monetizing this content? While they're talking about the quote unquote the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams who are paying them to talk smack on their platforms about them. That's crazy. And it's, again, this is not saying what they're talking about doesn't have any validity or merit. It's saying don't be bamboozled. Don't have the wool pulled over your eyes just because they're saying something that you like. Don't believe everything that they're talking about at face value. Investigate.
Definitely.
Yeah. I want to make one more point. When it came to, when he was making his points about the music and stuff like that, I stepped outside at one point I was going to make, because Freshly brought up when he talks about the Queen thing. But I want to say the last little point when he talk about you got to make the music even better. See, this is where it gets to the difference in how we view humanity, right? So from the Judeo-Christian perspective, you can never make music that was more righteous, more popular music that was talking about the most debased forms of humanity, because we as human beings gravitate towards the message that's not good more than we gravitate towards the message that was good. And you see this all the time. You could take a really bad song, that has a lot of debased things in it, and you could take a really positive song that has an even better beat. They're not going to play the better sounding song when they're going to play the song that's debased, because when people are out drinking at night and want to do things, there's certain things they don't want to hear in those type of environments. So you can never beat that out, because it has to do with the nature of man and our sinful nature. We crave sinful things. We crave evil things. I've played Christian music for some of my friends, or even Muslim music for some of my friends that was positive, and they could be like, "That's fire." They're not playing that again after they get out of my car. They can acknowledge the good lyricism. They can acknowledge the good beat. That's not what you want to hear when you go and do your dirt. So my point is saying that, what Lord Jamar is saying, it's got to be just as good. It's got to be just as good. Even Lord Jamar and his group, great group, make good music. They're not as big as, Yang Twins. They're not as big as,
The Locks.
the Locks, and they never will be with that kind of sound. None of those groups get that big to that level.
Because they're fighting against human nature.
Yeah. We don't want to be good. We want to be bad. Even if we don't want to actually be bad ourselves, we enjoy hearing about the bad.
Yeah, we want to vicariously through the people who are living bad.
Yeah.
And that's not a government conspiracy.
Yeah.
Against black folks. All right, that's not. Because there's suburban white kids who suffer from the same thing. Even more so. Some of us are against that type of music because we actually experience that stuff and want to move away from it. But you got suburban white kids who support it 10 times more than we do, even though it's a quote unquote black art, if you will, because they want to live vicariously through us. They like the danger. They like that stuff. Y'all do too. Not a government conspiracy. They didn't create hip hop in a government secret lab to get black people to debase themselves.
Matter of fact, they didn't like it at first. Matter of fact, I mean,
they hated it. They tried to censor it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hip hop was created.
The FCC won't let me be. Who said that?
Hey, why in this conversation, Vulcan? Why would you quote a white man? Why would you quote the white man?
He's the highest selling of that genre.
Listen, if we want to be honest about hip hop, the government is not utilizing hip hop to debase the community. Hip hop is born out of the debasement of that was already happening in the community.
Yeah, for sure.
Hip hop is talking about the stuff that's going on inside of our community.
And they tried to limit it for a long time. But go ahead.
Is by having, if their production value is up, your production value needs to be up. You see what I'm saying? Meet them where they at, come to the people as the people, but you have that twist. There you go, sister. Now hang on, I'm just talk to your producer real quick. Now, if you want to put the speaker who's speaking now, like say if you want to put me in that big box, just go to my picture and drag me to that big one. And that's how there you go. You see, I'm teaching you things. This how we do it. I'm a master of the StreamYard shit right now. So anyway, so yeah, that's how you do it by just combating it with equal or greater talent than what they're bringing to the table. You make your shit more magnetic. You're welcome, Queen. You make your stuff more magnetic.
Again, that's easier said than done. You can't just, there's not like this infinite pool of talent to pull from. Come on now, what are you talking about? If we ask him to name the top 5 rappers, or not even just ask him, but ask the average black person to name the top 5 rappers, top 10 rappers, it's not going to be Brand Nubian or Tribe Called Quest. They're not even going to come up in the top 20, top 30. And I'm not saying they don't deserve to be there either. That's not my point. There's a lot of rappers in their type of genre. That Black Power stuff gets no play in this ride. Let's keep it real. You're on mute, Enos.
Now, what you trying to acknowledge?
Yeah, we're trying to acknowledge. No, I'm trying to kick that stuff you need to learn, though.
Yeah.
So.
Magnetic, and more attractive than theirs. You know what I mean? We got to make this shit cool. Like, you got to make consciousness cool. Black people like cool shit. So if we don't make it cool, which means popular, then you can't combat it really then.
Right. I just remember kind of going through the late 80s, early 90s, and kind of the whole phase of I guess you could say conscious hip hop, kind of starting like Self-Destruction, Sunshine, All for One, like all the joints that we had at that time. I took my shahada in 89, just going.
I just want to say this quick point right here. Why not speak out against it instead of trying to find some kind of random talent that's better than Jadakiss, that's better than State Property, that's better than Jay-Z? I mean, come on now. That's like saying I'm gonna find a mathematician better than so and so. These people don't just, exist, for ad infinitum on all different points of the universe. It's hard to find talent.
Even if you find talent, you would have to find talent that agree with your point of view.
Exactly. It's much easier. Go ahead. What?
No, I was saying most of our best rappers come from what they're rapping about. If not all of them, right? Some of them are faking the funk, but most of them are coming from the environments that they're rapping about. How many folks are coming from within a quote unquote black empowerment household, right? That are gonna rap about that are even gonna become rappers.
Yeah, because there's no money in that. And for one, that's the whole reason why you became a rapper. You ain't getting no girls off of it. But anyway, so the thing is, yeah. So the point that I'm making with that is, when he's saying these things about, we got to make it bigger and better and grander. It's not an infinite pool to pull from on there. It'd be better instead of you speaking out against the they. You should do the same thing with these people you're talking about that make the debauched music. Talk about them. Get on here and talk about them, because then that day you can be specific about.
Hey, Lord Jamar did have beef with Eminem already, so we heard it. We seen it. He lost.
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah, Eminem's still rapping.
Lord Jamar
was a beef with Vlad. Eminem was still making songs, still in hip hop.
You relegated my man Lord Jamar to B-roll on Vlad?
Using hip hop to dizzle. That's crazy.
Damn, homie.
Dang, homie.
Back the whole period in the answer and what that meant for us, and it was like a battle cry on the streets, and it was cool. The shit was hitting to a point where we had everyday people wanting to get down with it just because it was just like, yo, it was all in the music, it was in the culture. And I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that we can kind of reverse this process that we have now and bring that level of not only consciousness, but bring that level of just cool shit back to your music and really hit them in the head like we did back in the early 90s.
I mean, it's not going to be exactly like that, but, we got to, there's people out there, you know what I mean? There's people out there. You just got to, it's not so in your face like it was before. Like you could just turn on the radio and you'd hear Brand New being on Tribe Called Quest or Public Enemy, whoever it was. Now you got to kind of search for it. You know what I mean? Like you don't just hear Jay Electronica just playing on the radio like that. You know what I mean? But he's one of them.
Because he don't have a lot of songs.
I mean, Stove God Cooks.
He doesn't. But even if he did, the point of the fact of the matter is radio stations are not playing music that's not popular. So it doesn't matter how many of us are riding around with Jay Electronica in the deck in the car. It's not getting on the radio, man.
One thing I'll say though, I give Lord Jamar a lot of credit because he's a light skinned guy with dark skin energy, man. Like he
hey, we about to add you to they, man.
Yeah.
we about to put you in the they category out with the colorism, man.
Oh man.
Oh man. His lips are black though. Oh.
Why are you like this?
Yeah, there's people out there. You just gotta look for them right now. You know what I mean? But I think that the tide is changing. I see certain trends in some of the younger rappers. You know what I mean? I hear younger rappers talking about the chakras and shit in raps. That's a trending thing.
Right.
So that's good. You know what I mean? That they even know what the fuck a chakra is. So
I doubt it.
Yeah, like
I doubt they know what it means.
Stuff like that gives me hope when I hear.
Pause it real quick.
Shit like that.
See, this is my issue with all this chakra stuff. I'm not going to get into whether it's true or not true. I'm going to say you just got done giving us this robust elucidation about how, the they is controlling us with science and all these things right there, right? All these scientific advancements and things of that nature, right?
With confidence.
Yeah, with confidence. And then you're going to say chakras? Are they using chakras to control us? Why are you having so much hope in something that you never heard the quote unquote white man or white supremacy use to have the power that they have? It makes no sense. That's the only point I wanted to make. It's crazy. Our lack of emphasis in STEM is part of the reason why we don't have the control that they say they want to have.
I agree with that. I never, anytime you talk about the chakras or the third eye or God himself, I never see any of these dudes or women who talk about this, who speak like this. I never see them freed from any of the stuff that they're talking about. I never see them like living outside of the oppression. Oppression is up, brother.
Yeah. I was thinking about this when they were speaking in the conscious community. If you look at how they living, what buildings are infrastructure how they built, we can go off of.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about in their personal lives. Like these people are talking about, and again, I'm not knocking it. I'm saying when you offer it as a solution, I don't see any proof, any evidence that this solution works. When you offer a solution, there needs to be evidence that it works. So when you're talking about like, you know, you need to look within self to be able to free yourself from certain, like you live the same type of lifestyle that I do. And I'm not talking about monetary, like you do all the same things that I do. You drive in a car, you use a cell phone, like you're not free from any of the social constraints that you're railing against using your method. And yet you would look at your method and say, my method is better than yours. Well, how? What proof do you have?
It's just speculation.
It's just speculation. This goes back to the conversation we had about people's problems with Christianity. I'm self-conscious. I am a king. God is me. I'm like, okay, so show me where your life is different from mine because of how you live, because of what you believe in. How it's palpably better in any way outside of just you feel that way. I don't.
That's what it is. It's a lot of it's based off feelings. So not based on merit on our.
No. Do you have any young rappers in your tool list right now? People that you're producing or grooming or mentoring?
Yes, I do. My guy that I mentioned, Stove God Cooks. He's from Syracuse, New York.
Okay. Yeah. Need to check him out. Definitely want to shout him out. You know, have any information on him, we'll put it up there as well.
Right. He doesn't seem over.
Stove God Cooks.
Seem negative at first glance.
Come on, man.
It's all science.
Stove God
Cooks. Okay. Brother Rizza, you know, when we think about what we just kind of talked about in terms of, you know, being attacked with different mediums of entertainment, you know, my question for you is, has there been a concerted psychological war waged against Black people? And how is it impacting our overall mental health?
The war started a couple thousand years ago, to be technical, and then some would argue even further than that. But when it comes to this in particular war here, when we were brought here, it was very heavy, and we're still dealing with that because we're not addressing the psychological trauma that we have that's been passed down genetically. One, from slavery, which is something that we have to address. Two, we have to address the trauma that we've gone through from seeing our people being murdered on a constant basis. So much so to where we've been desensitized to seeing our people die on video left and right. And that's another part of the warfare where they allow those videos to stay up. We can do a video talking about the history of the Caucasian or talking about the history of the system. They'll take that down and say,
pause it real quick.
They'll let videos of us being murdered stay up.
So yeah, the videos of us being murdered all the time, that's a lot of that's have to do with our own decisions politically. I mean, the videos of us being murdered all the time is a very much a leftist news move. A leftist move, and Black people, we tend to be very left leaning socially. So I mean, like, you know, we're watching. That's the type of news we watch, and they show that to us to stir us up.
Oh, you mean consumerism?
Yeah, basically consumerism.
Yeah. Give the people what they want. Give them what they respond to. Because if you were right leaning conservatives would have took that down immediately.
Exactly. So
ain't no way.
We're in bed with the people who are showing us we're getting murdered all the time. When you look at the actual numbers, statistics on Black people getting murdered, it's outside of us murdering ourselves, it's not as high as we think it is. More whites get murdered by police officers than Blacks. Obviously, it's a larger white population. But even when you adjust for population, it's not that much of a difference.
Exactly. And I would venture to say that more Black people who are currently living are dealing with trauma.
Yeah. All right. We have 48 minutes.
You see, all of that is a part of major psychological warfare. And not only that, but with us pushing the successful maneuvers that we make, with us pushing the unity that we're having, with us pushing all of the building that we're doing, with us pushing all of the growth and all of the major things that we're doing as a people collectively, that changes the psychology and it brings it back to where it's supposed to be. As Brother Lord Jamar was just saying, with the whole Black Power movement and with hip hop and all of that, you're talking about, you know, Black Power self-destruction, which is one of my favorite songs with some of the greatest MCs, hip hop artists to ever live. And if people are watching this and you've never heard of self-destruction, you need to go watch that video after this is done. All right, you got to get some of that and just all into your spirit, in the ethers of your mind, so you can understand what level we're talking about. Because the psychology, brother, is one of the most damaging, self-perpetuating mechanisms that anyone can use to take over an entire people. And with us, psychology has been a major issue. Psychology has been the major tool of this enemy. Psychology is the one that they're using now, which is why psychologists are some of the number one largest groups of people that are being utilized as staff members in the United States government. The CIA, of course, the FBI, of course, all a part of the Department of Defense. Psychologists are the number ones that they use. Hollywood, what is it? Psychologists. Mainstream media, psychology. Propaganda, psychology. So with everything that they pump out, and with everything that they've been doing psychologically, we must counter it.
Is also
CIA,
psychological shit
all day long. We have to have a counter propaganda or a counter psychological war machine that is happening every time they post something about us that is negative. We have to post something that is positive, and we have to do it in the united front. It has to be a countermeasure. They have entire systems set up to go to work. The moment they post one thing, they have thousands of pages, thousands of people who work for them to go and start to comment on it, to get the analytics up, to get it trending, to get it pushed everywhere so that the whole world sees it. We have to do the same. We have to take over the psychology. We have to take it over mainstream, and we have to take it over independently in order for us to really turn the tide of what is happening right now. That's the only way we're going to really get through this when it comes to social media and things like that. Because again, psychology, bro, everything is as pictures in the mind. Everything is seen as pictures. That's how the mind stores these things, pictures, videos, sounds, all of that. So when you're looking at it that way, everything that's being put in front of us, everything that your children are seeing, everything that you're seeing, every time you scroll, every single time, you're collecting pictures, and it's either encouraging you to increase in your fight or flight response, or it's encouraging you to decrease in your ability to fight back or want to run away. It's controlling the levels of dopamine in your brain, the chemistry that's happening in your brain. All of it is very, very, very powerful. So with us as a people, we have been the victims of the greatest psychological warfare that has ever hit anyone. The problem, or the beauty is, pardon me, we've made it through.
Now, I do agree what he's saying about the dopamine, all that kind of stuff. That stuff's very true. But that, again, is how human beings collectively are affected by social media and subliminal mass messaging, and this messaging in general with imagery that we're seeing on the news or 24-hour news cycle and stuff like that. That sensationalism, because they got to keep getting the viewership up. So they need to put stuff up there that's going to cause us to experience high, emotions. Extreme emotions. That's just how it works. So he's right, but that's not an issue with white supremacy or anti-black. You can maybe already make a case as anti-human, and maybe black.
No, it's consumerism. It's consumerism.
Consumerism, yeah.
What are people responding to? Give them that.
yeah.
I wonder what was their ratings when that was going on. What was that, 10 years ago, when we were seeing a lot of police shootings that was going on, or was broadcast on the news every. Man, I bet you they
especially by black folks.
That's what I'm about to say. We for us.
Man, they had all kind of stuff. Shirts was being made, businesses was opening.
We were coming on. We had black pundits on TV more than ever talking about this stuff. It's
a lot of blacks got paid. I'm happy for them.
A lot of them.
Where others could not.
They still getting paid. Shout out to Rizza.
Make it and we're still dealing with it. We're like walking patients right now, out the hospital with the robe still on, trying to function in society. We are some functioning people who are functioning on trauma right now. We move through it through hip hop. We move through it through good music and food and etc. We have a way of coping with it, but we got to address this so that we can gain our power back all the way. That's pretty much where it is right now. So yeah, brother, we've had this war going on, but I believe now through using social media and other means, I think we could take it over and resurrect ourselves so that we can really be in the position that we need to be.
Right. But we're going to stay with you for this next one, because when we think about those issues, it's always
pause it real quick.
Like what should we
listen? This is what I want to make a point here. I don't even call it warfare. If you will call drug dealers selling drugs to people who take drugs warfare, then okay, we can characterize it like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's more realistic to look at it like, again, and I keep saying this, but this is a consumer relationship. Even if it's trauma, you're asking conglomerates, you're asking businesses to place morals over their bottom line. morals for people who don't actually really impact them in any other way other than consumers. I.e., if I'm a TV network and I know that people are going to respond to this, even if it's trauma, I'm going to put it up because it's going to give me the views that I'm looking for. Whereas someone like Rizza would say they shouldn't put that up because it's wrong. They shouldn't put it up because it's traumatizing us. Therefore, they're giving away the onus, the self accountability that it would take for a black person to not look at that, to say I'm not going to participate in that, and affect it with their views. You're asking the TV network to be like, you know what, this is traumatizing to black people. Let me go ahead and not do this, even though it's going to tank my views. It's going to take my viewership. It's going to take my overall my overhead.
So just to kind of go along with what you're saying there, so it's going to take my views. I'm going to let some staff go that's black and white and Asian and Hispanic. I got to let some staff go. They can't feed their family anymore. And then we're going to start losing the race against other news stations.
Yep.
Together. So now they're gonna take my talent from me, and I'm hoping that they're gonna grow, a pair of integrity, kahunas. Which case that they're gonna do the same thing, and so so they start losing. Everybody lose viewership. So a lot of people get unemployed and can't feed their families now. You're gonna hope they're gonna do that. They're having to come. They're trying to figure out what's to navigate their ethics about what they're doing at the same time.
Exactly.
So is it better to lose ratings or keep the ratings going? And this is
And
no
a lot of
different
black people would have you believe that that's how it's supposed to be until it affects them, because they don't see the overall picture. They just see what they don't like, and they address that. There are a lot of black people, and really a lot of people. I'm going to say a lot of poor
a lot
people,
of
if I'm
people.
being 100% honest.
Yeah,
A lot of poor people are very limited in their perspective. They only talk about what affects them. What affects them.
Absolutely.
And they don't look at the widespread effects of certain decisions if they were to go into effect. And again, you're asking a network to care about you. You don't care about the network. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you like the scenario that you just explained is very realistic. If we were to do that, that would affect our overhead, our head count, our employment. All of that stuff would affect multiple. It's like, oh, well, I don't care about that. Not because you're a jerk, because it doesn't affect you. That's the thing. It doesn't affect you. And this is how these corporations are operating. I would be more on board if they were to characterize it as neglect over warfare. I don't think this is a warfare that's targeted at black people specifically, and that's why they do it. I think they do it because it gets the reactions that they're looking for, and they make the money that they're trying to make.
Yeah, and I would say that to go along with that neglect thing. I mean, like you're a CEO, or it's a publicly traded company, and you're on the board, and you got to make sure that you stay, profitable. The reality is that when you're thinking about what people do in their daily lives, as things advance, they get more alluring and hard to turn away from and not be addicted to. No different than there was no Oreos for our ancestors to eat. We have Oreos now. We have Chips Ahoy. We have cakes and pastries on every corner. So the thing is, it's a lot more difficult to avoid sugar than it was for our ancestors.
Right.
As advancements, continue to multiply and proliferate, it's going to be more difficult to be disciplined and to do what's in the best interest of yourself. That's technology. That's desserts and sweets and food. That's drinks.
Exactly. Self accountability. Because they would have you believe that diabetes is a is a government ploy against black people, because so many of us have it. No.
Counteract that, and one of the things that we look at in terms of just black consciousness is culture. And what is your vision in terms of incorporating our culture to uplift us? You know what I'm saying? In terms of bringing the culture into entertainment, things like that, uplift us. I'm definitely going with you on this one, Lord Jamal, because we really want to bring in just the overall culture of just black people to be a remedy to counteract some of the negative images we see and what we're being given on a daily basis, either through food, television, movies, etc.
First thing I'll say is learn who you are. Learn about who the hell you really are. Most of our people, what we refer to as 85%, those who are easily led in the wrong direction, hard to lead into the right direction, poison animal eaters, slaves to mental death. These are the people who are being manipulated. They really don't know who they are. So learn about who you are. Now, there are different parts to our culture. We have a lot of different parts. So learn about these parts, but just understand first, you are the original man or woman. Start with that. Before you go into any other labels, you are the original. You were here before anybody else was here. Boom. Start there, and then you can start growing from that point. 2, learn about your culture.
Yeah, you are the original people. I am the original person, or you mean like my great grandpa? And then unless you're Nation of Islam and you take the same, a belief that he has that, white people were made in a laboratory, then for most of us who may somewhat agree with some of his perspectives, which is fair because a lot of stuff he says does have some truth to it, that whites and Asians and Hispanics still come from black people. So you think about you're the original man. Why would they not be the original man too? We all have the same great grandpa and grandma. So wouldn't they be the original man too? So that's the distinction I don't get when they're making these points. Again, for Rizza Islam, in his defense, he's being consistent because his belief, as crazy as it may sound, is that whites were made in the lab. Now the thing about that is, well, I won't even get into all that part right there. I'll just say that. So for him, he's been consistent, but for the rest of us that don't hold to that belief, they're just as much the original man as we are. I'm not the original man. What he means is that my ancestry is linked to the original man, right? So and then he says, know who you are. What does he mean by that? And again, he says, know who you really are. That's that real McCoy fallacy again. That's that real McCoy fallacy for the folks out there. What do you mean by the really who I am? I am who I am. I see who I am. You mean physically? You mean my values? You mean my preferences? You mean my, what do you mean by I am who I really am? Then you said culture. I don't have to be married to my culture. Culture is the way I was cultivated. It is not me. I subscribe to a particular culture. Typically, as a child, you subscribe to culture against your own, not against your own will, but without you actually choosing it. It's chosen for you. Why do I have to marry myself to it? As I get older, and freshly, as I get older, can I decide to pick a different culture if I want to? I said, that was cool. My parents did a good job. I like the culture they picked for me, got me where I am now. But now I'm going to go assimilate to that culture over there. I like that one better. Am I allowed to do that? So when these guys are throwing this word culture out there, which is cuisine, artifacts, religion, all the things that go along with a culture, we learn this in school. Why do we feel such a need to ride or die for the culture? It's random. We can pick and choose. I don't like that kind of food. I don't like that kind of music. And it's just fine. It doesn't change who I am as a person.
And learn about the fact that most of what people are saying is their culture is actually yours. Understand and learn what your culture is. Learn about your culture when it comes to music. Learn about your culture when it comes to clothing. Learn about your culture when it comes to food. Learn about your culture when it comes to...
Since you paused, I was joking about that. I was going to say right here, like, most of their culture is actually yours. Why can't we both have the same culture? Again, I do not own a culture. Just like he says, you think you own this. You don't own this. You got a little bit of room inside of there, whatever he said, right? In the same way, no, I don't own a particular culture. Whatever he means by culture, subculture, culture, whatever he's talking about, I can't own it if I wanted to. It's available to anybody that chooses to be cultivated by it.
I would also add or ask the question, let's just say I do understand that. How does that benefit me? What is me understanding that I'm from the culture or the culture is mine? How does that benefit me? What positive aspect, or what does that do for me positively, or what does it do for my mentality positively with that knowledge?
Yeah, there's so much of the topic. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Enos.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the thing is that is my culture now in 2024 the same culture that my great-great-grandfather had? Is mine superior to his? Is mine worse than his? Why do I have to be married to the particular one that I have now because I happen to be born in a certain part of the world at a certain time in history?
even if you are married to it, what does it do for you to be married to it? I think what it sounds like is he is assuming, or he is presenting that black people, and I'm going to just use this example, if you knew that you were the original man, that you would somehow act differently or carry yourself differently, which would change your standing in society. I'm not sure where he's going with it, but the premise seems to be, if at any point in time you actually knew who you were, you would do things differently.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's a fact.
Yeah, we don't see that working anywhere. Like if I'm LeBron's son, I'm gonna play better. If I'm Michael Jordan's son, I'm gonna play better. You know,
just by knowing.
Just by knowing. Oh, if you just knew you were LeBron's son. Well, I do know LeBron's son. I literally see this guy every single day. I know that's my dad, but but there's still a guy on my team better than me whose dad is not. He don't even know his dad.
Right. That's saying something like, if let's just say LeBron had an illegitimate son somewhere out here, or Mike had an illegitimate son somewhere out here, and they played basketball and they were average, and then somehow found out my dad is Michael Jordan, that intrinsically makes them better. That's not how that works.
Yeah, or to take it out of sports for a moment, if you find out you were a descendant of Frederick Douglass, like Dr. Umar, is, does that gonna make me a better leader? Because I know I'm a descendant of Frederick Douglass or Abraham Lincoln or whatever you want to say. No, we don't. We have no reason to believe that that's going to give us any kind of significant increase in productivity and trying to accomplish whatever goals that he's thinking that we should be trying to accomplish.
Well, the goals he wants us to accomplish, and I'm gonna bring it back to it, is segregation. He wants everyone who understands that. He thinks that everyone who understands that this is their culture and they are who they are. You are kings and queens and so forth and so on, that you will now have as much of a problem with the establishment culture as he does, and want to leave it.
Yeah.
When it's like, I understand all this. It doesn't make me as mad as it does you. I'm still gonna go to work. I don't care that the white kid likes hip hop. Like, that doesn't bother me.
Not only does it not bother you, but the hip hoppers rather appreciate it because it makes their pockets more fat. It makes their tours more lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It makes them more popular. They can cross over. Trust me, they rather appreciate the fact that people of different ethnicities appreciate their music.
Yep.
Yeah, safer.
Yeah.
Technology. Learn about who invented the majority of things that you see being carried out and utilized in this world, and understand that the majority of these inventions came from you and your people. Learn about all the components that make up who you are. Learn about yourself spiritually. The majority of what you hear about when it comes to religion started with us, the original people. Learn about these things. Go all the way back. You see, it's a lot. It sounds like a lot, but the point is, start to learn about yourself. Kill the division and kill this whole labeling of this group, that group.
I already forgot. Like, he's just, I guess in his mind, he thinks he's cooking. And this is a very common thing. You see this with Sam.
Damn, Vulcan.
Yeah. You see this with Sam Harris. You see this with a lot of these elitist types. They think that the salvation is in learning stuff. I mean, life's already got a lot, enough for us to learn as it is. We got to go to school for 12 years. We got to go to school to do more years to be able to get a good, decent job. How much do we got to learn? We got to learn all this stuff. To do what? To do what with it?
Exactly. That's my question. What are you doing with it?
No, I want to ask a question. So, go ahead. Finish, Fresh.
Yeah. So yeah. For me, I just don't get the insistence on learning all this information. People like, well, that's lazy. People want to learn this stuff. I'm not saying I don't know this stuff that he's referring to. I'm not familiar with what he's saying, but it hasn't enhanced my life in any kind of way.
That's my point. What's the benefit?
How is he living better? What is the information he has than somebody else that has more money than him and is healthier than him?
Exactly. My question is, so you have this knowledge, Rizza Islam, and people like him, right? It's not a targeted thing. I'm saying you have this knowledge. What is it doing for you that it's not doing for me?
Yeah. Do you have
other than giving you a sense of pride? Yeah, and I'm not knocking your sense of pride. I have a sense of pride in myself. It's just not based in the same things that yours is.
Yeah. So then he said the inventions come from you again. y'all, Volks, pay attention to this kind of stuff. He says that the inventions come from you and your people, your ancestors, whatever. I didn't invent anything. So that's like a psychological sleight of hand. And he talks about the government, the CIA with a psychologist. Rizza is using a lot of psychology in this show right here. I'm not knocking him
He
for
surely is.
Bravo to you for learning how human psychology works and how to implant ideas in our head that we're going to be more likely to believe because of the way you're saying it. I'm all for that, brother.
In his defense, he did say while he was talking about that we need to use the psychology or reverse the psychology. So he's not saying psychology is bad. He's saying we need to use psychology to combat psychology.
Yeah, and that's
fire.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking it. I said, I appreciate it. I see what you're doing. I appreciate it. But just understand, you're doing a lot of psychological ploys yourself because you're saying that I invented something I didn't invent. You're making, you have to make it clear how I am my ancestors. I'm not.
Well,
message. That's like saying, okay, so you're gonna say everything, every terrible thing, that a black person did historically. Am I that too? The blacks that sold some of us into slavery, the blacks who owned slaves here in the Chattel South.
Get them.
All the wars that were taking place in Africa and stuff like that with the
get them.
Trafficking and all the different things that have been going on. The sacrifice and
drug dealing,
all of that. Am I that stuff too? I'm not going to take to do with the bad if I'm everything my ancestors were.
If it's just intrinsically passed down, I just get it because we share a bloodline. Well then, yeah.
My bloodline, I bleed concrete. Yeah, I want to know. Like, why is he taking the good but not with the bad? If you're gonna be balanced,
and again, what does it do for you outside of a sense of pride? It seems like his conjecture is that Black people are not on his side or not sharing his points of views based on the fact that they don't have a sense of pride in themselves or as a people, quote unquote. And I'm saying I have plenty of pride in myself as a Black person, but it's based on who I am as a Black person, not like Vulcan was saying, who my ancestors were. Like, that's cool. I would love to learn about it, but it doesn't do anything for me today in 2024 when I still got to go out here and pay my bills. I can't walk into the rent office and say, or the mortgage office and say, listen, you must not know who my ancestors were. They invented this, and that.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, your ancestors. You talking about the fact that I thought you never met your dad. Yeah. Almost 80% of legitimacy rate in the Black community. So
hey, yo, that's wild. Them fighting words. I'm finna jump over the desk on it for that one.
Yeah. I'm like, so Rizza's talking to a lot of Black people, right? That don't even know who their dad is, or the dad's not even active in their lives. And again, I'm saying that knowing that according to the CDC, Black fathers, are some of the most active in a lot of ways and play with their kids more. So I'm not saying we don't have statistics like that, but as far as like Black kids being without a father is really high not living with their father in the home. It's really high in our community. And so my point is saying, like, that's a part of our ancestry too. So you're talking to Black people who don't even know their dad very well and telling them to believe in their ancestry.
Yeah, learn about your ancestors, and that's going to change something for you.
So in your mind, you're going to go to the first ancestor, next to you. Oh, my dad. That's not a good one. I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
Group, this group, that group. We are original people. We brothers and sisters. We have to start right there. Leave it at that point for once, because the enemy sees us as one people. We need to see ourselves as one people. Then as you begin to learn and grow and understand, okay, this is the music we listen to. These are all different foods that we utilize and eat. These are all the different forms of clothing. Okay, are blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, all of them are just Caucasian, or do we have some blonde-haired African people? Do we have some this? Do we have, what colors are we? Whatever. Just start learning. Be humble and learn and begin to communicate on a higher level of thought. As Brother Lord Jamar just said, people talking about WAP, but it's like, yeah, you might want to start to get your intelligence up and start communicating on a higher level of things. What are we talking about right now? Some of the young brothers and sisters are talking about chakras. They're talking about crystals. Now some of them talking about farming. Some of them saying, man, forget buying chains. I'm buying a house. I'm buying land. So something is happening right now, brother, in the ethers right now. People starting to see. They're like, wait a minute. I'm not no more.
I heard a young boy say in his rap,
yeah, it's because of technology. So they got other avenues to make revenue.
He said, my body getting rid of all these toxins.
Come on.
That's all he had to say. Like my body getting rid of all these toxins. And the way he said it was some fly, he was bouncing on the beat and all of that. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's the type of that little line right there. You don't know how effective that could be to people in his generation. Dudes that want to now be like this guy. Oh, word, he getting rid of his how did he get rid of those toxins in his body? Oh, he did a detox. He did a cleanse or whatever the case may be.
Pause. Again, this people making too much. This people making too much of something. You know, we get rid of our toxins through defecation and urination. Obviously, we all know that part. You know, so we all taking health class. This is not some kind of deep concept. I'm not saying that we shouldn't push this more in our communities, and I can even appreciate that they're bringing this up to the forefront and say that we should think about how to detox our bodies. But we learn that stuff in health class. This is not some kind of secret that the enemy's trying to keep from us. We just have bad eating habits. We choose to eat the wrong stuff. We choose to chase taste and salt and sugar and stuff like that instead of things that are.
We don't choose it. It's our ancestors.
Yes,
that's what they ate.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice now.
And that's a good point too. We're not even living. Our ancestors are healthier than we eat, and then we make fun of white folks for eating bland food. I was at a meeting today. Took a guy out for his birthday. White guy. It was two black guys and a white guy, and the white guy was saying, I don't put any salt in. I don't really put any salt in my food. I'm thinking in my head, a lot of my black friends would be there. They'd be like, we know. That's what they would say about them. But again, we deal with high blood pressure. We deal with heart disease. We deal with, all these different issues with the heart.
Predisposed too.
I want to ask Vulcan the question: what's some of the negative impacts, or why is it harmful to try to find salvation through learning? What's the harm in that?
The harm in trying to find salvation through learning. I don't know if we have enough time to really cover all these things. I'll try to just do 3 quick points. One is we all have different levels of cognitive abilities. Again, us 3 on this panel, Rizza, Lord Jamar, and the guy interviewing him, all sharp brothers. I'm not saying that there's salvation for us in learning either, but I'm just saying that I can see somebody thinking that was possible. But we all know people that are not at that level. Guys we grew up around. They barely made it through school as it was. Not even just because they were not good, they couldn't pay attention and because they were troublemakers. But some people just really struggled with math. They really struggled with reading. For whatever reason, they really struggle with those concepts. Their salvation, that's the bulk of the population of the world. Does their message really help people of the world, people that are illiterate? How are they going to get? Does it help our slave ancestors? So them being literate.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
So my thing, that's really no salvation at all. Knowledge is never going to be the salvation. So
what you do with the knowledge.
Yeah, it's what you do with the knowledge. I would say obviously from a Judeo-Christian standpoint, the salvation will be in Jesus Christ. But outside of that point right there, it's definitely not going to be in information and knowledge. Because, that's what Ecclesiastes says. In studying books, there is no end. And increasing knowledge increases sorrow. There's a curse to knowledge. 40 laws of power, law 46 talks about that. There's a curse to it. Thanos talking to Iron Man. Remember Thanos to Iron Man. Stark, you think the only one that's cursed with knowledge? There's no salvation in knowledge and information. It's powerful, but it's not a salvation. So I would say that. That's the point I make is that we all struggle. We have different levels of ability and knowledge, and most of us wouldn't even have the ability to even try to attempt to be saved through information and knowledge, right? And then others of us don't have the same emphasis. There's people who are trying to be great fathers and great mothers, not by learning about your ancient cultures and all the different spiritual. He was talking about learning all the different spiritualities that come from you. they're more invested into their children and their parents and their family, and how to be a bigger help to them, and how to invest in them with wisdom and knowledge, and and good character, learning instruments and stuff like that, right? We only have so much focus we can place in our in our lives and a little bit of time we get on this earth. So we don't even know if we did what he can't guarantee that doing what he said is going to give us this quote unquote salvation that he's asking for. So why would somebody waste their time instead of spending valuable time with their family and friends and enjoying the time they have on this earth, and learning about things that like their family and things of that nature? How they know that's not a better investment than what he's theorizing? So I would say that would be number 2. And number 3, there's no salvation information, is because I mean, there's a lot of different points. I want to make 3, but I would probably say the last reason I would say is because what he's calling information and knowledge is really still speculation. He's talking about a lot of historical stuff. History is a soft science. History is going to change. We may think one thing one day, but I think another thing another day when new information comes in. Mm-hmm. You can learn a bunch of information and realize a little bit later on it wasn't even accurate. You're chasing something you're never going to actually catch. Mm-hmm. So I would say that
he's also not talking about learning for the sake of learning. He wants you to learn a specific thing. It's not the pursuit of knowledge for the sake of having the knowledge. He wants you to learn. He's not saying learn your maths and your sciences, and he's saying learn about who you are, learn about your ancestry, learn about where you came from, and that's somehow going to change your lot in life. It's going to change your perspective and how you look at things. And even if it does, how does that change your reality?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would just say those are the 3 reasons why I would give. I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about it, but those are the 3 I'll just stick with, and why the information is not realistic in any kind of way.
All right.
But the police at somebody's door.
You know what I mean? Like, so you got to be that example that you want to see. Like, you know what I mean? And then it'll, art imitates life, life imitates art.
Hey, Vulcan, if they at your door, don't turn off the camera. We might need to be witnesses.
On the level of Detox and Lord Jamar, what to kind of talk about this lad situation.
Oh, I'm playing the video. I'm like,
cultural appropriation.
Go ahead, Lord Jamar.
Hey, he's about to get into a new topic. I think we should cut it here.
The feelings,
yeah.
Or just that aspect of it in terms of the.
Because we still got a full hour. Yeah, we still got a full hour left, and we already did 2.5 hours on this.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead, Fresh. Start off with the closing statements.
I did suggest we stop, and I didn't have my closing statement ready. But long story short, man, again, I'm gonna keep reiterating. This is not. We don't have aught with the actual person. We have aught with the tactics that they're using to bamboozle you as a people, as an audience. Oftentimes they are utilizing the same tactics and practices that they are ranting against they quote unquote they using against you as a people. They have some very valid points. They are utilizing some facts. That does not necessarily mean that everything they say is intrinsically correct. So again, here we are equipping you, or hoping to equip you and show you what it looks like to be critical for the sake of understanding. Just do your own research. Look at these talks, these people, these Black intellectuals, or really anything that anyone's saying to you, with a critical eye, and identify the things that make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, ask questions, dig deeper, because oftentimes these types of things will unravel after you get past the surface layer. And if they don't unravel, then maybe there's something there. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, Bubba Gump.
I was hoping somebody's gonna catch that.
All right, Vote. What you got for us?
Y'all, we had a great show today.
Yeah,
Thanks for tuning in. Those who tuned. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we had a great show today. We covered a lot of different topics. I appreciate all of you who tuned in, all you supported it. Feel free to send in videos that you want us to go over. You have any critiques, if you have anything you want to say that you really appreciate about what we're doing, we all appreciate the feedback as we're growing our channel, growing our page. We do this because we're passionate about it. These are things we've always done, y'all. Us guys, we would get on the phone and talk about all these videos and stuff like that. We said, shouldn't we be recording this stuff?
Yeah.
So that's what we started doing, y'all. So just understand, this is just y'all being able to see, on full display, what we've always done in private, on the phones, on conference calls and stuff like that for hours and hours and hours.
It ain't even in private. There's people out there who've been part of these conversations because we just walked up to them and start talking to them.
Exactly. So you're seeing our passion on display. This is what we love to do. And again, it's no animosity. If I saw these guys, anybody who's seen us critique, if I saw these guys out in person, I'm a fan of a lot of these guys because I can admire the discipline it takes to be as consistent a lot of these guys have been. We've been doing this show, and some days it's a struggle to do the show. Some days we're not feeling sick. We got stuff going on with our families. We want to do other things. So it takes a lot to be consistent as these guys are that are constantly being on social media and platforms. So I take my hat off to a lot of those guys to be that disciplined.
Yeah.
And so we appreciate a lot of those guys, but that doesn't mean because I'm a fan of them. It doesn't mean because I can appreciate them and admire them that I'm gonna turn a blind eye to shenanigans and foolishness.
Chicanery.
Yeah, we are here to call out the sophistry, the inconsistencies. There's a quote that I love to bring up, from one of my favorite scholars. The job of the philosopher is to discover the assumptions in commonly held beliefs. I apply it to everything that I'm doing. The philosopher, the lover of wisdom, Philo, right? The lover of wisdom. So my point with y'all is that when y'all listen to these shows and hearing us break things down, it's always coming from a place of passion, it's coming from a place of a disdain for misinformation and misleading argumentation. So that's the Vulcan, aka Logos. That's what you got.
Yeah, I just want to say to add on what Vulcan was saying, we've been having these conversations for some years. Me, Fresh, and Vulcan. One thing I can say, just a personal testimony, these are probably two of the most smartest brothers or guys I ever met. I like to add on to that. What's smarts without virtues? One thing I could say, what I experienced with these two guys, as ready as they are, I haven't witnessed them actually be quick to anger within conversations. I can honestly say that with these brothers. They try to use as little as motions as possible within these intellectual conversations and really promote critical thinking and try to think more clearly. So I want to say that about these brothers, what I experienced with them, and this is what the show is about. We're trying to avoid common errors in reasoning and try to evaluate our evidence a lot better and try to make attempts to reason at the highest level. So yeah, that was the motivation and our primary focus on this show. So until next time, join us and hopefully we can learn together and you take this journey to a discovery. All right.